Hello, I'm Mo Speaks. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share. Today I put out a request. What's going on, KMC? Anybody who would like to defend the war, and you don't necessarily have to, but I put the link in the chat. I pinned it. Um, I want to talk about the war today, and I have somebody who's going to be coming up in a little bit to talk about it with me. I've invited a couple people. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to make it. I tried to hit somebody up on X who I know disagrees, but I just want to do that. I just want to talk about this war because I like people who disagree with me, and or not the people, but I like disagreeing arguments, and I like to learn from people that I disagree with. And the best way to do that is to actually talk to them. I don't shut people down. That seems to be a big problem on the right now, where they complain about platforming and all this other nonsense. I'm not into that. I really am not. Just got into what's going on. Yeah, it's interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Let's pull this up. What's going on, G Will? Yeah, but there's a lot of people defending it, and I'm gonna play it today. I got a couple of videos that I'm gonna go over, and um, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to come up, sir. Cool. Pulling you up now. So Mel and I are gonna be talking about this, and hopefully some other people.
Salute to you,
Will come
brother.
up.
Salute to
What's
the
up? What's
chat.
up? What's going on? If you want to
Um,
put your Cash App underneath your name, so if anybody does want to donate, feel
oh yeah,
free,
for
man. I
sure,
don't, yeah, I don't sweat stuff like that.
for sure, man. We rocking and rolling. This is good, important live. Everybody else is with the BS, so you were here bringing the real stuff, so I can respect that.
Always, always, always. How you been, man? What's going on with you?
Man, I need to teach my son a lesson, man. I was out there just bowling with him. He was like, "Yeah, Daddy, you can't beat me." I was like, "Man, look, I think 137 is respectable."
It's better than me.
So yeah, man, we would have got live soda, but I had to take him out because we on that spring break. So he been working hard around the house. So I was like, let me reward
Promises
him a
of
little
the
Whoop,
bit.
whoop,
Great
whoop, whoop, whoop. Sorry,
Society.
sorry,
No, that's
Ab-
all good.
sorry. I was pulling it up. Sorry about that.
I don't
Sorry. Go ahead.
apologize about MLK.
So I was going to start with the Martin Luther King opinions on the Vietnam War, and the reason why I agree that this is similar to that war, because this is a war that, in my opinion, has nothing to do with us. But more importantly, we're entering into it preemptively. Now, that war was going on, obviously, but nothing. We weren't attacked. That's always my barometer: is are we reacting, or are we claiming to be preventing something? And if you're preventing it, how long did you give the other side a chance to do something about it? And we've had 30 years of making the exact same claim, literally 30 years. I think it's more than 30 years. And at some point, you can't say that it's imminent when you use an exact same time frame for 30 years. Like, how many times can you say 6 months, 6 months, 6 months they're going to have this, 6 months they're going to have this? It never happened. So in one aspect, I can see, over a 2 year period of saying that and being worried. But once you get to year 30, it's kind of hard to make that case. To me, I could be wrong. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, there are parallels, man, and I think what's happening is you have people. So they used to call. So I'm a historical minded person. So people who are defending us going into Iran without any conscience or any critique about how it's being done, they would be called the war hawks. So, AG Will, brother, I see you, man. Salute to you, man. But and kiss my cheeks, salute to you as well. I saw you greet me as well, also. But they would be called the Warhawks.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 1960s, you had what was called the Doves and the Warhawks. Doves were those flower hippie people,
Mm-hmm.
flower power people. The Warhawks was the I don't care what happened, we have to support our troops and support our military and support our president. The Republicans or the pro MAGA Trump people who are so aggressive to have no fault with him. They remind me of the war hawks of the Vietnam War, where even if you ask questions, somehow it's un-American. And in this case, even if you question us going to bat for Israel, it's called that anti-S word. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
So
say
the
anti-Semitism. I'm
so
not
the
afraid of that
so
word.
the
I've been called that
parallels
so many
are
times.
there, and the parallels are real when you look at how people are treated just for asking questions about why now, how
Yeah.
long, how much, does this match the policy that you promised, is this keeping the policy that you promised? So when you're bringing up Martin Luther King Jr., that's a big part of his opposition to the Vietnam War, was what the Johnson administration said they were going to do for the black folks, for civil rights. That all took a back seat when the Vietnam War started. So when Donald Trump is talking about doing all of this stuff about America first, make America great again, low gas prices, no new wars, all of these promises that were made seem to have taken
Ending
a
the
back
current
seat.
wars also. Ending the current
And
wars that we had also.
exactly. So that's my
Draining the
my
swamp,
take on it. Yeah.
accountability, Epstein files.
Yeah,
Sorry.
all of that stuff took the fraud in Minneapolis.
Hmm.
All of that stuff is taking a backseat to
Yeah.
Iran.
Yeah. And when I was, when I'm on X, I have people calling me a liberal. I'm like, you have no idea. Like, I could not be further from that. And if they knew what I was doing over here this whole time, to call me a liberal because I say Trump is making a mistake and I don't agree with any of the stuff he's doing right now is crazy. Because all of a sudden, the Tea Party guy, Mr. MAGA, is all of a sudden some kind of traitor or liberal Democrat. I'm like, this is interesting because the neocons have always been this way, but MAGA was different. And now they seem to be aligning with neocons. And I understand it because, in my opinion, there's an infiltration happening. But what I don't get are people that I know for a fact did not want wars, who were happy that Trump was saying no new wars and ending the current wars and never troops on the ground, all this stuff. And now they seem to be all in. And I that part was kind of strange to me.
Yeah, and they rationalize it by making it appear as though Iran is a greater threat now than they were 10 years ago.
Hmm.
That it's now we have to take them out. We have to do it now while we have an opportunity. This is our moment, when Iran poses no greater threat now than they did 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So is this about us having an imminent danger at our face that we are facing, or is it an opportunistic moment for regime change?
And
And
I think that's what
I
it
argue
is.
the latter.
Yeah, and I agree because last year we were told that we obliterated their nuclear capabilities and their long range missile tech, or their long range missile capabilities. And now Rubio the other day said that we need to destroy their short range missile capabilities. And I'm like, why? How does that, like, when did that happen? And if it's short range, how are they going to reach us with them? Clearly, it's not about us.
Yeah, man, I remember last year we used the bunker busters and we
Yep.
busted up all of their long range missile, their ICBMs. We
Hmm.
destroyed all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And then fast forward, oh well, if we didn't take them out now, we would run the risk of a nuclear war, huh?
It's like, wait a minute, how's that possible if you obliterated them?
If
And
we,
I was one of the people saying, oh, CNN, they don't know anything, because CNN reported that it was only like it was minimal damage and that they'd be back up and running within 2 to 6 months. Turns out they were right. As much as I hate to admit CNN was right about anything, I'm gonna say it because it's true. And I don't just come up here and lie. And it was really
well,
interesting watching Trump call them fake news, and then here we are now. He's using the exact talking point that they were making when it was all going down. So either shut up and don't say something if you know, or if you don't know what the real damage was, or admit now that you were wrong. Because I would accept that. If they said today, you know what, last year in June, we thought we did this, we failed at it, but now we got to go get it right. I wouldn't agree, but I'd at least be more open to it, because at least you're being honest with me. But when you just ignore it and act like June of 2025 didn't happen and we're not even in June of 2026, I got a problem with that, because now we're looking at deceit.
Well, was CNN right, or was our government leadership who we voted for dishonest?
It
I
could be
don't.
either one. The
So
reason why I say they were right, the reason why I say they were right is because I think it was too early to know. So it's one of those things where you can talk about, COVID and be wrong or right, but nobody really knew. That's how I look at this, because it was too early to tell if the damage did anything. Somebody within the government, within Trump's administration, leaked information that they believed, and they turned out to be right. It very well could be that Trump was just lying outright. It is possible. I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt, even though I really, really dislike what's happening right now. Let me pull this up. I want to pull those MLK videos up and we can listen to them, just so people can understand, or not understand, but hear from his mouth what we were just saying.
Well, did you get the one I had for Tommy Tuberville?
Yes, I have all of them. They're all lined up here.
Okay, because that's going to put in a lot of context of what we've been kind of focusing on. And I told you, brother, I don't know, we disagree, man. Did you find anybody that has a ardent disagreement with you?
I did, but I don't think he's gonna make it. I don't think he's gonna make it. Because I actually I didn't talk to him, but I messaged him the other day and said, "Hey, hit me up. We can have this conversation." He made a whole video of 7 or either 9 reasons to go to war, and I'm like, whoa. And I watched it, I'm like, this is so misguided, or I just don't agree. And I was hoping he would come up, but he didn't respond.
Yeah, with them hardcore red hat MAGA folks who think that everything Trump does is golden. And I'm not saying this won't even turn out great, but I'm just saying the process and the approach is far from what we were promising, what we was expecting. And when I mentioned to you about the MLK thing, let me put a disclaimer out there. This is my opinion. This is not the opinion of O Speaks, but this is the opinion of the.
Our opinions are our opinions. Go ahead.
I think MLK was a socialist who advocated and aligned himself with a lot of communist traits.
Oh no, that's 100% facts. I proved that already.
But does that mean his opinion and position on the Vietnam War was invalid? Not at all. So a lot of things that you're going to see with MLK is going to parallel with a lot of thoughts that a lot of rational people have when it comes to us engaging in military conflict in Iran, when Iran posed no direct or immediate threat to the United States of America. So I wanted to just make that very clear with people.
And that's fine, but I'm one of those people who I can get facts and information from people that not only do I disagree with, but I can't stand. Like, the creation of the Volkswagen comes from a really, really dark place. That doesn't mean I can't compliment the car. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me when somebody I disagree with says something that's correct. And this person that we're talking about happens to be correct a lot, and still, did a lot more than most Americans have done in their lifetime. So just because he had some other stuff going on,
I love all the people out there. I know Antifa rallies running around calling people Nazis and fascists wearing Nike shoes. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. They don't understand. It's very superficial, the arguments that they make, and they don't think their points all the way through. I've said this so many times. I think a lot of people are like that. It's not just liberal Democrats. I'm learning now that there's more people on the right than I thought that are like that. They're just saying stuff, and they don't think it all the way through. And a lot of this is arrogance. But I want to play this really quick because these are all. I think there's 3 of them. They're all very, very good.
The promises of the Great Society have been shot down on the battlefield of Vietnam, making the poor, white and Negro, bear the heaviest burdens both at the front and at home. Others can do what they want to do. That's their business. Other civil rights leaders, for various reasons, refuse or can't take a stand or have to go along with the administration. That's their business. But I must say tonight that I know that justice is indivisible. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That we have been wrong from the beginning of our adventure in Vietnam. That we have been detrimental to the life of the Vietnamese people. As we counsel young men concerning military service, we must clarify for them our nation's role in Vietnam and challenge them with the alternative of conscientious objection. They must see Americans as strange liberators. Do you realize that the Vietnamese people proclaimed their own independence in 1945 after a combined French and Japanese occupation? They quoted our Declaration of Independence in their document of freedom. Yet our government refused to recognize. President Truman said they were not ready for independence.
Wow.
And who are we supporting in Vietnam today? It's a man by the name of General Key, who fought with the French.
So, OSP, can you pause it real quick?
Whoops, yeah. Whoops, I actually.
So, let me put some context into what is being said right there in that moment. So, in no way, shape, or form do I personally speak, and like I said, these are my thoughts. Do I speak or do I believe that the Iranian government and the Iranian people and the corruption in Iran, or even some of the atrocities, could be comparable to the Viet Cong people? Okay,
Right.
Both of them are evil with their own separate evils.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do think Dr. King is making a very valid point that we can even point out today that shows that we as a government at times have made the mistake of empowering some of the most notorious, maniacal individuals. And that actually has led to the revolutions that have created the Fidel Castros, because we supported Batista in Cuba, who was a dictator. We supported Ngo Dinh Diem in Vietnam, that led to the rise of, who was a dictator, that led to the rise of Ho Chi Minh. We supported this individual right here early on in Vietnam. So when Dr. King is talking about how we associate ourselves with evil and corruption, this is just an example. Another example is where you have, for all of my conservative people who are going to watch this, this is a Democrat approach that is being taken with Iran.
Absolutely.
Because it was the Democrat Party that led us into Vietnam. It was John F. Kennedy, then it was Lyndon Johnson who escalated that conflict. It was Harry Truman who caused the severance of relationships between us and the Vietnam government when Ho Chi Minh was fighting for power and control. This is not a conservative approach when it comes to war. The only failure that I can mention of a conservative approach of failure to war was George Bush in the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan. So Dr. King has a very valid, very strong point in making these correlations that many of you have not known or you have not observed or have seen. Because when we get rid of the Iranian regime, what are we going to replace it with? If you look at
What's
Syria right now, Syria is being ran by a man who was a former leader in Al Qaeda. In Al Qaeda, this is the man that Donald Trump has sat across from a table with after the Assad regime had been overthrown by the corrupt Biden regime. And I go on mute.
And there's a couple other. The irony of this one is we've replaced Iran's regime twice. I think twice. It may have been 3 times. But we've meddled there. I have a video of Osama bin Laden. We supported him. So we have a history of backing these people that you're talking about, the bad people, and allowing them to succeed or helping them succeed, and then we end up on the other end of that battle with them.
Speaks. We supported Saddam Hussein in the Iran-Iraq war. Only for 7 years later, or 8 years later, we end up in the Persian Gulf fighting against the same man who we gave weapons to and supported. Because a lot of those WMDs that they said were buried or hidden and all this other stuff, guess who gave them to him? It was our government.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. This ain't conspiracy.
No, we keep claiming to be picking the lesser of two evils, and then realizing that we're still going to have to deal with both evils. So my position is always stay out of it. Stay out of it. What's going on, bad guy? That's how I've always looked at this. I'm always looking like, how does this benefit our country? And when I hear people on the right, I don't even like saying the word conservative anymore. I definitely don't like saying Republicans. But when I hear conservatives or Republicans making this claim that, Israel first is America first, I cringe like, oh man, there's no way you believe this. There's no way you can believe this. How when I look at the entire Middle East, and I'm not an Islamist defender or any of that, what I look at is, okay, what is this person's motivation and what is this person's motivation? Both sides of it. I don't have to agree with either of them. I just want to know what their motivation is. If one person says, I have the right to all of this land and I'm going to take it, I have a problem with that. If the other side says, I want you gone because I have a right to this land, and they're both basing it on biblical interpretations, you have to stay out of something like that. You have to stay, in my opinion, you have to stay out of something like that, because now we're in the realm of, well, God promised me this land, and the other people saying, well, God promised me this land. And you cannot take a side. If you take a side, you're literally declaring yourself the enemy of the opposite side. Instead of mediating and trying to find common ground, you're now saying, no, I stand with this side over here. And I just don't understand why people don't look at it that way.
And see, the left side of that is such cowards, because there are a lot of people on the left who actually support regime change and support Israel. But what they won't do is they won't come out and demand it when they have power in the White House. And then they'll come out on the surface and they'll criticize when the person who actually makes the decision to do it, who has power in the White House, but the whole time they align themselves and they say that they stand with a certain particular entity, unless you're in New York City. But that's just, and I hate, I don't know which one is worse. The one who recklessly does it, or the one who complains about someone recklessly doing it, but quietly supporting the one recklessly doing it, but going on their social media platforms and complaining about the one who recklessly did it, if all of that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's in to hate Trump. What's really fascinating is watching Hillary Clinton praise him, Lindsey Graham praise him, and seeing people on the right, the so-called conservatives, saying, yeah, well, she's right this time. It's like, huh? Do you know this woman is evil? Like, to As soon as you start seeing that group praising your guy, you need to start reassessing. Okay, what is their motivation? And then maybe, just maybe, you're on the wrong side of that one. I'm not saying just that you can't agree with people that you disagree with. I'm saying there are specific people that you need to look at their motivations because there's something else going on there. And those two,
No, if Hillary Clinton is telling me, to go down, I'm looking up. If
yep,
Clinton is saying go left, I'm going right. If Hillary Clinton is is leading a marathon, I'm going the opposite direction, even if it's gonna cost me the race, because I don't want to be on the same side with her. Not
it
at all.
has to raise an eyebrow. Like, maybe I need to reassess what even before you do that. Like I said, just try to figure out her motivation, and then look at her history, and you know who she is. You know about Big Gods. You know what she wants over there. Maybe you're on the wrong side of this one, and then just look into it. That's how I see it. I don't know. I can keep playing this.
Against his own people, and who said on one occasion that the greatest hero of his life is Hitler. Men will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. And nations will not rise up against nations, neither shall they study war anymore. And I don't know about you, I ain't gonna study war no more. Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant.
Man.
If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
So pause it real quick, bro.
What's crazy about that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You go first.
No, you got it, bro.
When I speak to people, MAGA people, they are so arrogant, thinking, these people can't do anything. I'm not worried about them. And sometimes we need to flex. And I'm like, oh man, do you not hear yourself? Like, you're talking about not just American lives, regular civilians. And they're like, well, that's collateral damage. And some of these people are Christians, dude. I'm like, you really aren't hearing yourself. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one evolving, but I don't think so. I think I'm being consistent. And when I hear somebody say, the 170 girls blown up in the all-girls school, or the teachers with them and all that, and they dismiss it as if it's not a big deal. Well, they shouldn't have put their stuff. I'm like, dude, listen to what you're saying. Hear yourself.
Listen to this right here. So Tommy Tuberville, and listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I think he was a pretty good football coach. For the most part, I like Tommy Tuberville in a lot of ways. But one of the videos I may have shown you was Tommy Tuberville talking about us needing to go in and do everything we can, basically, to obliterate this government, even if it probably means to blow up, some stuff where some innocent people might be. And in the same,
it may be in here. It may be.
What?
It may be in here. Go ahead. Sorry.
But in the same interview, they asked him, "Oh, and I just heard that your granddaughter celebrated her 6-year-old birthday." He was like, "Yeah, and we went to Auburn and saw her and celebrated." And I'm thinking about it. What about those grandparents who in Iran who have nothing to do with this regime change, whose grandbaby may have got blown up at one of the schools that they alleged that got blown up? Now, keep in mind, I am not an advocate for the Iranian government, but we are way too dismissive about the casualties of people who are losing their lives in these so-called regime change moments. But that's That's the mindset you're talking about. And when Dr. King was talking about, that's one of my favorite clips, is where he said, he talks about America, you're too arrogant. You think about something.
Man.
Our government is taking a moral position on the land over there and saying we're going to support this government. I mean, support another government. And biblically, I stand with that notion of where that land, are the authors of that land, but that land has to be figured out by the people in that territory. So we do have a disagreement. I do believe in Canaan, and where, as far as people having a certain lineage or group being the lost people searching for their land. Now, do I believe we have a right to, as a third party, to intervene in that? Now we're taking a moral stance that I don't know we as a nation could do, and we are arrogant. Think about it.
Man,
as much immorality, as much debauchery, as much anti-God that happens in this nation, and we allow it to happen because it's called freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. We can do all of these sort of anti-God things, and now we want to be the moral police of society and decide who gets the land over there in the Middle East. This is what Dr. King was talking about. So I go on mute.
And it's not even a matter of just hypocrisy. It's if you're going to make a moral argument, I believe you have to look at what's going on here. So it's similar to what you're saying, but I'm talking about the people in our streets. How can we say, these poor people over there when we have poor people over here? I know it's a different kind of poverty. I know it's war-struck lands and all that kind of stuff, war-torn lands and all that kind of stuff. But I am a firm believer, if your house is not in order, you need to stay out of somebody else's business when they're in regards to their house. I
disagree with you. Okay. You say it's war-torn over there.
Well, no, actually, it's not. But I'm talking in general about most wars when they start, like Ukraine and all. I was speaking more in general about wars, period.
No, but I get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, what is a gang-on-gang conflict in the streets of Chicago? It's a war.
Yeah.
We can't even say what is happening up in Minneapolis, where all those white privileged far leftists are going over there and obstructing the police officers from doing their job to the point where they're willing to risk their lives. It's a war. So we do have small wars, or we have, what do they call those things? Not battles, skirmishes. We do have skirmishes here in our country that we have not even addressed. But we want to go globally and be the authors of regime change.
Yeah,
I totally get it. Yeah, that's exactly how people are with Trump. If Trump says up, people are going to say down. If Trump says in, people are going to say out. If gas prices were $1.10, people would still say Trump it should be $1 because Donald Trump made $1.10.
That's why I put that up there. Yeah, that's why I put that up there. So he also said something here. Oops, I'm clicking on the YouTube one. This is extremely important, and I think every Christian needs to understand this.
That's critical.
You cannot be a religious Zionist if you are Christian. It's not possible. You can make sympathetic causes. You can say, whatever you want, but you cannot use scripture. So every time I hear somebody talk about, whether or not they support Israel or they're Zionists, I have to make sure that I understand that they're talking politically and not biblically, because it's not biblical. It's just not. And what Gw is saying here is a fact. Let me do something real quick. I know I always try to stay away from this one, but when you said that, I was like, okay, I am required to show you this, man. I don't have a choice. Take it, don't take it, whatever you want. I'm not going to show the whole thing. For ye are all the children of God by faith in Jesus. That's it. For as many of you have been baptized into Christ, have put onto Christ, there is neither neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one in Jesus Christ. And if you be Christ's, then
Galatians.
you are the Abraham's
Mhm.
seed and the heir according to the promise. This is the fulfillment that it doesn't erase what they were talking about in Genesis. This is the fulfillment of it. It is saying, if you are of Christ, you are the seed, you are the heir. So every time I hear somebody say, well, yeah, it is there. No, it's not. It is not. It is so clear. This whole section in Galatians 3 towards the end, the purpose, it gives you the purpose, and then it tells you who are the actual sons of that land. There is no, every time they say, well, there is an Old Testament too, I understand that. But there's prophecy and then there's fulfillment. There's that promise and then there's reality. If you're a Christian, if you're a Jewish person, I have no issue with you saying that. Zero. If you're secular, if you're atheist, whatever you are, I have no. But if you are Christian, be very careful because I fear that you don't understand that you're rejecting Christ, because it's telling you if you have faith in Christ, then you are the heir. This is your promise. That promise was to you. And when I hear people say that, I'm like, oh, I have to say something. I can't just ignore it. So I apologize. I'm not preaching to you. I feel necessary because I know you're Christian. You need to hear that. Please, 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 please read. Just if you don't read anything else, read Galatians 3 all the way to the end, and it tells you who is the heir to that land and who is promised. And
oh no, I'm standing on business. You ain't gonna disrespect me and my religion like that. I get to stand on what I believe. No. I totally get you, bro. But G Will probably like, what's wrong with Mel Dub? No, but listen, no, I totally get it. What I'm saying is, if people do believe, oh, hold on one second, my phone, son, go grab my phone for me. Okay, I hear it ringing. Thank you, champ. So he's still mad I kicked his butt and go bowling, but that's okay. But no,
yeah, that's why I said if you're Jewish, then I have no issue with you believing.
Oops,
no issue at
all.
That's okay. I'll call it back. All right, bye, son. But no, what I was saying is, even as Christians, as far as with Christ being a fulfillment of the law, and yeah, I know Galatians I know that scripture very well because it deals with eliminating the aspect of superiority or based on race and other ethnicities, because it's like you're all one in the body. But even if you have that approach as a Christian and you recognize Jesus and his association with even his persecutors, the Jewish people, as far as his descendancy, you can respect and appreciate the idea that the Jewish people were people who were disowned or disenfranchised from their,
of course,
their land of God's chosenness. Now we can have the debate and the discussion on whether or not they lost that inheritance when they sacrificed Jesus Christ. We can have that discussion. I'm not going to argue for them on their behalf. But what I will say is, when it comes to that conflict about people having a conflict over that land, that has nothing to do with America.
Yeah.
America can't solve that. The American Christian can't solve that problem. The United States of America can't resolve that conflict. And because when they do that in the United States of America, under the cloak of Christianity, attempts to resolve that conflict, that group of people who still looks down and still goes against and still is one of the biggest wedges of bringing humanity to Jesus Christ, they now have an expectation that America, this Christian country, is supposed to intervene, not because they believe in the God that we serve, but because they believe they can exploit us. And I'm not talking about the Jewish people. I'm talking about the Israeli government.
It's not just them. It's anyone who's secular, who's atheist, who tries to point out a hypocrisy in a Christian. So they use your scripture against you, even though they don't believe it. So if you watch uh, Ilhan Omar, there's a reason there's a visceral reaction to her, because she's not Christian. She's not, well, she's American now, but she has a disdain for it, but then she'll try to use Christianity against Christians. And I not only do I not respect it, I reject it outright, because she's a Muslim. There's a reason people react to her the way that they do. They know who she is, they know what she stands for, they know what her interest is. She literally said that her interest is Somalia and Islam. And so when she starts talking about Christians and what we need to do, I'm like, oh, I can't. It's hard to listen to her. It's hard to tolerate her for more than 2 minutes. As soon as she says something like that, I'm done, because I know what she's doing. It's manipulation. And you said a word that was very interesting: superiority. The Ben Shapiros of the world are doing the same thing Ilhan Omar does, and they're saying, "Hey, you guys use our Bible, don't you? Well, what are you trying to say? You don't believe in the Old Testament?" They don't believe in the New Testament at all. They don't believe in Jesus, but they'll say Jesus was a Jew. You don't even believe in him. I cannot take that kind of, it's beyond disrespect. It's a disdain. It's a manipulation. It is a deceit. And in my opinion, it is evil. When I hear people doing that, I'm like, you're really going to do this right now?
The evil nature of people who do that is that they become intentionally deceptive. See, and they use the ethnicity and disguise it with the religion when both are completely different. Because I know a lot of people who are Jewish, but they don't practice Judaism. And so then they say that about Jesus, that Jesus was in the Middle East and Jesus' parents were of the tribes of Judah. Therefore, he must have believed in Judaism. No, Jesus was the fulfillment of Judaism. So but yeah, no, Ilhan Omar, she'd be happy down here in the state of Florida, because our state legislature didn't voted down a measure that would have made it illegal for brothers and sisters to get married. So she'd be happy about that. So I just threw that in there because I don't like her.
Yeah. This is off topic, but what G. Will says here, all Muslim try to use the Bible I would say all out of context. We're using the Quran out of context as well. I kind of take issue with them calling themselves an Abrahamic faith, because they don't use the same. It's not even a different interpretation. They change a lot of things that happen in what we would call our Bible, and what they would call their Quran, their Bible. It's not the same stories. It's not the same people. So it is really interesting when everyone calls them Abrahamic religion, because they believe parts of the Old Testament, then they reject parts of the New Testament, but then they claim some of it and they say it's been corrupted. So that's a whole different conversation. But anyway.
Wait, what are you talking about, O Speaks? Because the Bible was written by a white man. Didn't you know that, O Speaks? You better learn your history.
Go to Ethiopia and find a white man's Bible. All right, let's go back to the video. So this is something that happened.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then they'll say something like this. I bet you didn't even know that Jesus wasn't even a white man. Yeah, Jesus had hair like wool.
Those kinds of arguments, I don't even entertain. I don't even discuss them. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool, very cool. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm not going to get into, because that's not, at that point, you're not even talking about the religion or the faith. You're talking about details that you think you know that the other person doesn't know, and it's really a challenge of intellectual knowledge, things that you've learned versus the actual conversation, in my opinion. But
surface knowledge.
Something MLK said was conscientious objectors. We just had something happen yesterday. I think it was last night. Let's get past this part.
Know that I'm God.
On President Trump's top counterterrorism official resigning tonight, saying Iran posed, quote,
so
no
insane.
imminent threat to the U.S. Late today, the president lashing out after Joe Kent, his hand-picked director of the National Counterterrorism Center, quit his post. Tonight, President Trump also furious. NATO allies are refusing to help protect the critical Strait of Hormuz more than 2 weeks after President Trump started the war. And tonight, Iran now confirming its national security chief has been killed in an Israeli airstrike. And a short time ago, the images coming in, flames rising from the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. What we've learned, Iran-backed groups hitting multiple targets. Rachel Scott leading us off here with this high-level resignation tonight and President Trump's response.
Tonight, the administration's top counterterrorism official resigning in protest over President Trump's war with Iran, declaring Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Joe Kent, director of the National Counterterrorism Center, writing, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. It is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." Kent accusing Israel of a misinformation campaign to deceive Trump into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, and that should he strike now, there was a clear path to swift victory. This was a lie. President Trump, who has long supported Kent's political career, despite Kent's controversies and past associations with anti-Semites, today brushing off his resignation.
And I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security.
That makes
I didn't know
sense.
him well.
Today, the top
Just that, it makes no sense. I thought he was weak on security, so I'm going to put him in charge of counterintelligence and counterterrorism. Like, huh? If you thought he was weak on security, that's the last person you would put in charge of fighting global terror. Just so I don't know if they're going to say it in this clip. Go ahead, sorry.
But no, and then even that's still, and this is the thing. This is real. This conversation right here. This is real. How real voters should start thinking. This is how real people who have a real good knowledge and understanding of government should start thinking, because you can say, hey, I voted for Donald Trump. I like what Donald Trump's doing with immigration. I like what he's doing with this. I like what he's doing with that. But hold on, I don't agree with that. That doesn't make sense with what he's doing. He sat here and said, trash this whole man in general, just because this man had a fundamental disagreement with him.
And here, and the thing, give me a thumbs up, Andre, and I can pull you up. The thing about that is also, this guy is an 11-time combat veteran. Like, he went back over and over and over. He lost friends. He lost his wife in that region in Syria. He was leading, in charge of counterterrorism in this country, which means global terrorism. How can he be weak, and how can you say he doesn't know what he's talking about? And I'm seeing people on X like Crowder, Andrew Tatum, calling him a coward. I'm like, you people, you wouldn't go there once, but you're talking about a man who went back 11 times, or went back 10 times. He went there the first time and kept going back. There are very few people with that kind of experience, and to call him a coward for doing what he knows is right, or feels is right. We don't even have to say knows, but he has a different level of information than most people. I just don't, it's so hard for me to disrespect somebody like that. Even with John McCain, who I disagreed with so much of his policies, I would never say something like that and call him a coward. What's up, Andre?
Salute to Andre Dub.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, salute to you, Mel. What did I miss?
We brought up some MLK quotes of him talking about conscientious objection, not necessarily staying out of wars, but being more conscious of our roles in the wars and the making of the wars.
Right.
And then we pretty much talked about how we disagree, what we disagree about our going in, especially specifically in this war and in this region, and we talked about the religion part of it also.
Understood. For just a brief moment, I only have maybe a few minutes to chat with you guys. So thanks for letting me up. I disagree with everything that's going on beyond levels of what I can say online. But I will say, as a veteran and seeing things over there myself, I'm prior Navy. Yes, we don't hit the land over there, but we utilize software to see what's going on. Everything that they tell you guys, and I'm just not a conspiracy theorist, is totally misleading. Every country has their bad areas and their bad policies and bad whatever the case may be, but how they address it to the people here, to me, is asinine. And I wish they stopped doing that as justifications to invade other countries. There are some Iranians that are loving it right now, and there are some Iranians that can't stand it. And that's as much as I can say on that standpoint.
Well, what's funny about that is, I was going to say something real quick.
What's up?
I thought we were going to disagree, but we agree. We agree 100%. So I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate your service. 11 times this guy went back, and they're calling him a coward online, and Trump saying he's weak on. I'm like, brother. We cannot do this.
Individuals who never experienced anything like that would say things like that, and to me, that's very, very disrespectful.
But I haven't experienced it, and I still would never say anything like that. But I also understand it's Trump, and that's what he does. But you shouldn't do that with military. Like,
I don't even
give you a reason.
I don't think I'm done with no military conflict. I bet you he ain't make it out of boot camp. Said somebody that didn't even sign up.
It's crazy.
And Mel Dub, I got asthma. Everybody in the Navy know what that means, but I got asthma.
What's up, G Will?
Oh no, hey, what's going on, y'all? I was just coming in because I had to comment on the female comment. You choose somebody and then they do something you don't like, and you're like, I ain't never like you anyway. They make excuses. They start trying to attack your character as a man. So to me, that was a very female response, to someone, you might have been disappointed that he disagrees with what you're doing, but he's got a right to disagree with what you're doing. Don't lie on the man and say that, he was weak, when clearly his history and his record shows that he was not weak.
Yeah. I don't mind him calling him weak because, again, that's what Trump does. I just don't like that it's a military person he's saying that to. Even if you served in the military, to be honest, I don't think if you served in the military, you would say something like that. But even if he did, I would at least have a little bit more respect for that. But I can't. I'm like, he's making so many mistakes right now that go completely against everything he's done up until he got in office this time. I don't understand it, man.
I need a person who just really, really, really loves everything Trump is doing right now. I need to hear from that type of a person.
Yeah, me too.
There are plenty out there, and Old Speaks and I, we disagree on a lot of things. I mean, I know he's more conservative, I'm more independent, if that makes sense. But one thing we do agree upon is that morals and stuff, I salute him on that because he's a moral type of person like myself. And if I had my way as a politician, I really want them to fight their own beefs. Here's what I'm saying. Instead of sending my brothers and sisters over there to fight someone because you casually just went over there, had a meeting with someone, you shook their hand, you had dinner together, and you flew back to your country of origin, and now you're upset and send military to fight your beefs? No.
Wow.
Here's what I want. Octagon, UFC style, 3 rounds, 2 minutes. Let them fight it out. I'm just saying. It's only fair.
Down for that.
Hey, you're willing to send my son off there. The least you could do is fight. At least there's a less chance of you unaliving. Yeah.
Correct. And I respect that. I don't care who you are. I respect you for that. But we know that may not happen. But before I jump off here, anything else that I missed?
No, man. No, because I'm still at the maybe a quarter way in on the small video presentation that I have. I'm gonna play something also just showing what Iran is, because I don't think people understand how big the country is, how diverse the country is. And I'm not talking about faith-wise. I'm talking about the terrain. It's an impossible feat to think we can just. First of all, you can't even get in there. I mean, you could drop people there, but how are they getting out? It's extremely complex, and I don't think people understand that it is surrounded by mountains. There's a reason why they've been there for thousands of years.
Right. And it's very mountainous. It's so many plateaus. And one thing I can say on the intel level, we use something called GEECS, Global Communication Systems. And anybody that knows anything about those type of technologies and stuff should know the heck I'm talking about. The overlay of everything that you speak on is 100% facts. And whomever and however you get the information, kudos to them for telling you the truth. I wouldn't send nobody in that terrain.
It's insane,
But
dude.
hey,
Yeah, I'm gonna play. There's a guy who it's a geography channel, and he doesn't even talk politics. But when this started, he stepped up and he was like, "Hey, this is what we're dealing with here. Do you guys really understand what we're looking at here?" Yeah, I'm gonna be playing that in a little bit. I think you'll enjoy that one. Oh, maybe not enjoy, but you'll be like, yes, finally somebody's saying it. Because when I looked at it, it really is. It's so interesting. It's all surrounded by mountains. There's also desert. There's also their own water source from the mountains. It's also above sea level, like 3,000 feet. It's insane that we think we can just run over there, get up on the beach, go through these mountains when we couldn't do that in Afghanistan.
I was about to say that. If Afghanistan taught anybody over here who never served any lessons, this is another one. And I'll go back in the chat, my guy.
And they got more mountains.
I'm not gonna really discuss too much terrain, but salute to you guys.
It's not more mountains, but it's like its own shield of mountains. It's like, dude, what are we? Has anyone looked into this?
But I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna say this real quick. Hold on one second, Andre Dub. Okay, go. So, and I'm gonna say something that I know O Speaks ain't gonna say because O Speaks, you're a straight up stand up guy. But all this nonsense that people pay attention to on YouTube, and we got real issues happening just like this. These are the type of conversations that people need to really, really give their energy to, because your tax dollars are going towards military conflicts that you don't even know what's going on. So I know the BS is fun to watch. I know it's funny to watch, depending on who you watch. But guys, sometimes you gotta like put your energy somewhere else. Stop watching so much of this drama and this nonsense when you got real conversations going on about real issues that could educate you and enlighten you instead of just being on the dumb shit. So that's my 2-cent spiel on that. Andre Dub, I could survive in Afghanistan. I could survive in Iran. There's somebody who never enlisted and never served.
Amen. You just took my talking points, man.
Amen.
Hey, G. Will, hold on, my guy. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on, my guy. I'm gonna jump off after this. Thanks again, O, for having me up. Mel, I'm flying you out next time I see you. And G. Will,
just don't fly me out to Iran, bro.
That's hilarious. But yeah, so what I was gonna say about that is, to be fair to those.
Hold on. Oh, G. Will had something here.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
No, I was gonna tell Mel what I didn't know. What I'm not gonna let you do is come on to O Speak Show and tell me I cannot watch my sovereign citizen videos. Dang it.
You ain't gonna talk to me like I ain't no man up here.
Those videos are hilarious. And what I was gonna say is, to be fair to those people, they're in a sector that is the focus. So I don't hold them to any standard, because I'm over there, but that's not what I do. That's why I never bring it here, because I don't want my algorithm, even though it's been affected clearly. I don't want my algorithm to only focus on that. So, and my algorithm is very, very diverse as a viewer, but as a creator, I don't want anything to do with that. So they're where they want to be, and they have that choice. Anyway, to crap on my own channel and stuff.
No, I feel you on that, but I gotta call it what it is, because like I said, just seeing things and putting things in perspective. I know I can get with the bullshit sometimes too, but at the same time, you just gotta figure out like how much time and how much energy we gonna give to that stuff. But I ain't trying to take away from what you got going on over here. So I go on mute. Go ahead and watch your cyber stuff, G. Will.
I'm gonna watch my sovereign citizens.
Man, those are hilarious.
I am of the family Kirk. the beneficiary.
You know what other really good ones are? Sidebar is the auditing, the audits. Those are really good too.
Oh yeah, those are good too.
I am addicted to those, dude. If I see a new one that I haven't seen, I will watch it. And it's just interaction. Somebody may just hold a camera up and sit in front of the post office.
People
get furious, and I'm like, what are they mad about? Like, he's not doing anything. And I just watch them, and then they call the police, and the police don't know the rule. It's really interesting to watch. I love those. But anyway, let's go back.
I'm gonna go back just onto the YouTube channel. I'm gonna drop down, but I just had to come up and give my 2 cents and tell Mel he ain't gonna tell me what I can and can't watch on YouTube.
Hey, look, you ain't gonna tell me how to be a man.
Right. Later, y'all.
All right, man. Thanks.
Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, saying Joe Kent's record is deeply troubling. But on this point, he is right. There was no credible evidence of an imminent threat from Iran. It comes as the president lashes out at America's NATO allies for refusing his demand to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz, more than 2 weeks after President Trump launched the war himself. Germany declaring it's not our war.
We can't be at every place to support a war which we didn't start it.
From the UK, a similar message. And today, French President Emmanuel Macron
Nous ne sommes pas partie prenante au conflit.
Saying France will never take part in operations to open or liberate the Strait of Hormuz in the current context.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake.
After calling for Europe's help, tonight the president saying he doesn't need it after all.
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually.
The president clearly frustrated with our NATO allies, but they have been very clear that this is not their war, saying the president did not consult with them before launching those strikes against Iran. And tomorrow, all eyes will be on Capitol Hill. The president's national security team will be testifying before Congress, and they will certainly face many questions about whether Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, David.
What's really interesting about that is even the people who hate Iran are saying we want no part of this because they're the ones getting bombed. So Israel starts a war with Iran. Iran's biggest enemies that are all surrounding them, that are getting bombed, say we don't want this war. And that Strait of Hormuz, I don't remember the percentage of oil that goes through that strait, but it's a huge percentage compared to the rest of the world. And it goes to the rest of the world. We're one of the few countries that don't get oil from Iran. And it's weird watching. Who is advising? It's got to be the Lindsey Grahams, and Marco Rubio has been good up to this point. But he admitted we're going to this war because Israel was going to go regardless.
So I do got a theory on this. And I do got an optimism. I know that sounds goes against what I've been saying before. If this works out, Donald Trump is going to go down as one of the greatest presidents in American history. If you think about it, Cuba has already damn near gave their country back over to the United States, whether ethically or unethically, how we did it. They need us because there's some oil suppliers, Venezuela, Iran, Russia, have been isolated to the point that they are now facing blackouts and they don't have any access to any oil. And
this just started happening too. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and they said to the point of it would cost $400 for a full tank of gas or something, in Cuba, like legit. So if he is successful, if this Iranian conflict, which is not a war, by the way, for all the dummies out there who are calling it a war, it's not a war. Look up the War Powers Act. Look in the 1960s. Look it up, or 1972. I believe in 1972. But if it is successful, if Venezuela becomes one of our oil-producing allies, if Cuba becomes dependent on our own oil, if the Saudis get access to the Iranian oil, and the gas prices dip down here in the United States because these are our main allies, it is a successful measure. The only question is, was the method worth the result, or was the tactic worth the result? What do you think on that? Can you see a silver lining?
I see a positive result, but I don't believe that the method is our business. I don't think we should be stealing presidents from other countries and going to war with other countries so that the oil prices are benefited, because we've been perfectly fine when it comes to oil without this war. So even if we do succeed and it goes back down well, at least in Houston, back down to 179, we were already there. Did we need to blow up half of a country to do that? I don't think that that's necessary. I see what you're saying about the benefits of these other countries, but again, this is meddling, in my opinion. Those countries have nothing to do with us. Venezuela, Cuba, okay, they're in our hemisphere. It helps them, but I don't think we should be the ones doing that. I don't think the taxpayer pays taxes so that we can go over across the world, kill a bunch of people, so that we can put a stranglehold on energy resources on this side of the world. I don't know. I haven't really thought that through. But I don't know if that would make him the greatest president. I think he was in line to do that before war started. That's cool. What's up, man? That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I do call this a war. The reason I call this a war is because just because we don't declare it and we circumvent the system that was designed to have war, what we do is we start funding it as if it were a war, and we circumvent the actual declaration. I believe that that's cowardly. I don't like a president being able to do that. I've never liked that, and we have not declared war, I believe, since Vietnam,
since after
World War II. Everything else has been.
We declared
for Kuwait.
No, Iraq. The second Iraq war, we declared war.
But that was a war on terror. That wasn't like
war on terrorism. So
yeah,
and I mean it was a declaration. So if you want to count that, but technically we haven't declared war since World War II. I want to say.
Yeah. So World War II, and I don't like that. Because we're still doing all the functions, we're still doing the funding, we're just not going through the constitution.
But then I gotta disagree with you on that, because when we have recognizance missions all the time, and so do we call those wars? Do we have situations where we've gone in and we've had to blow up when we blew up Iran, when we supposedly blew up their first ICBMs, and we declared that we destroyed their long range missiles. Do we call that a war, or did we call
that? I would call a conflict. That's what I would call a conflict. When we have an interest, and it's something that you can do in days, I don't consider that a war. When we have what happened in Afghanistan, and it's 20 years later, and we're still calling it a conflict, I don't agree with that. There's no way you can consider that just a conflict, because we spent $2 trillion there. We spent $2 trillion in Iraq. No one's going to tell me that that's not war. Thousands of people died. And on the other side, hundreds of thousands of people died. So it's like, I don't think we call it a conflict just because Congress wouldn't sign off, and the president didn't want to go through Congress to make a.
But then at what point do we determine it a conflict versus a war?
I don't know. Maybe
timeline.
I think a war is. I think if you're funding it and you're passing bills specifically for that thing, I think that's more inclined to be a war than something that would be in the regular budget. And I've never thought about this, so I could be way off. I'm just trying to think, like, on the spot, what would constitute a war, and maybe it could be a dollar amount. I don't know. I just know that this is not what the Constitution says should be happening, and we're circumventing it repeatedly because I think no politician wants to be on the side that declared a war and then we end up losing, or declare a war and the people are so against it that we have to retreat.
Yeah. And that's a cowardly way to look at things with our government. I mean, with the politicians.
It is. They don't want to be on the wrong side of history. They don't want to be the guy who raised his hand and say, yeah, let's go, let's go to Vietnam and then we leave, or let's go to Afghanistan and then we just up and leave. And,
that's what caused Biden the nomination in 2008, because Obama was like, I'm the only one who didn't support the war in Iraq, and Hillary Clinton voted for it. Biden voted for it. So when he stood up and he said that's when Biden got all red in the face and called him articulate Negro and whatever. So and Hillary Clinton started talking about articulate guy. Yeah. So
yeah. I remember it, but I didn't even think about it that way. I just don't like diminishing, or not diminishing. I guess diminishing the what we're doing, because the politicians are scared to call it what it is, and they're scared to vote on it, and they'll fund it to the tune of trillions of dollars, but they won't just call it what it is. I mean, death is death, in my opinion. I don't know. So this is the what's his name? Tuberville. This is your guy, Tuberville.
Make of this? Do you think the U.S. should get directly involved?
Well, I'm all behind President Trump in Israel, Larry. I think that they'll make the right decisions. We had J.D. Vance at lunch today, our vice president, and he said things are going well. They're spending a lot of time in the situation room, getting all the information from what's going on. The big thing is, I think, that Israel has been very, very effective in knocking out Iran's air defenses. They've killed a lot of generals, a lot of their leadership. Obviously, all the scientists that have something to do with their enrichment of uranium. They probably knocked their nuclear future back about a year and a half, maybe even more than that. But Israel's taken some hits. We all know that. But President Trump understands the people in this country are war fatigued, and we want to help Israel as much as possible. I think they can do the job on their own with the help of intelligence and us giving missiles and things like that. But I would hope that we did not get involved with our men and women in war, because I don't think that right now the United States of America is really in for that.
Isn't that ironic? Go ahead. Sorry, I think I know what you're going to say.
So how in the hell, on one hand, can you say Israel? This is why I told you to look up Tommy Tuberville.
So the reason why I couldn't find it is because it was on a call. Because I was looking for, I really wanted that video. But go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Oh, the one that I was talking about. About him saying about the gas prices. Yeah, but how in the hell can you say I think Iran can do it on their own, but then you are advocating and cheering for the Israel, but you're advocating and cheering that the United States intervene and help them do it. And you sound like you are bought and paid by the Israeli government.
But even worse than that, then to turn around and say that the American people are war fatigued. Okay, you guys ran on that. You knew we were fatigued before this ever even became a topic of discussion. Before Trump even got reelected, everyone knows people didn't want wars. It was one of his biggest talking points. So
that was his talking point. That was his whole talk. That was his major talking point.
No new wars. Get our troops out of there. Bring them back home. And now he's sending 5,000 to Iraq or Iran.
But, so what people in the chat don't know, what me and O Speaks is talking about is, so that guy was Tommy Tuberville, U.S. Senator from Alabama, former football legendary coach in the Hall of Fame with Auburn Tigers. But sometimes he can sound like an idiot when he's talking about real issues relating to government. So he was on the Sean Hannity show maybe a few days ago, and they were discussing the gas prices. And this dude said, this conservative Republican who has so many videos talking about how gas prices were high under Biden, campaigned against high gas prices, said that if the American people cannot deal with gas being high for a few weeks because of Iran, then there's something wrong with us. If that don't sound like let them eat cake bullshit, I don't know what it is. Wow. And that's what I mean by these out of touch politicians who are running up here making decisions without it affecting their real bottom line or their real life issue. One of those clips I sent you, O Speaks, that was one that I don't know if it was that one, but it may have been the other one I sent you, was where he was talking about we need to go destroy Iran and then bragging about his granddaughter's 6-year-old birthday.
I didn't see that one. But it's. I don't think that they're out of touch. I think they know. I just think they don't care. Because how do you not know when all of your constituents are saying no, no, no? The last polls that were taken was like 70 to 80% of people were against this. I think they just think, well, we know better than you. Because even in that Tucker Carlson, Mike Huckabee interview, he said, 80% of the people aren't for this, and he's like, how is that a representative government? Huckabee's answer was, well, they don't know everything that we know, and it's like, okay, but they're still against it. So, are you representing? Because what happened to transparency? And to hear that guy say that we set back their capabilities a year and a half again after we just heard this last year it's wild to me. I'm like, dude, you're saying the exact same word for word. A year and a half to 2 years is what they were saying. And it's been 9 months and we're already back there and we're saying the same thing again, like we didn't just see this. It's insane to me. Let's see. Let me play the rest. Or this is a different video.
Let's bring in Senate Armed Services Committee member, Florida Republican Rick Scott.
This is the other.
Senator, do you think that these so-called allies of ours will get on board with helping secure the Hormuz after the military operations have removed the threat? Because that does seem to be kind of the logical kind of tick-tock, the step-by-step, if you will, that we just knock Iran out, that Carr Island, we're sending some 2,500 Marines for a reason. We already bombed the island, didn't touch the oil and energy assets, but potentially we could. Once the Iranian regime is decapitated, then what?
Well, first off, what Trump has done is he's cleaned up the mess that Obama and Biden, this appeasement that was allowing Iran to have a nuclear weapon. This is the president that actually cares about the American public. Let's never forget, the main thing here is to prevent Iran from attacking America and our troops in the Middle East. No nuclear weapons, no ballistic missiles. Now, it's not just good for us, it's good for every democracy in the world.
There's another aspect to this. If we don't have troops in the Middle East, you don't have to worry about protecting troops in the Middle East. Sorry.
So I hope our allies show up. But guess who's going to get hurt? China and Japan and South Korea. We're not dependent on oil from the Middle East, right? They are. Thanks to Trump, we're self-sufficient. So Europe is not. So hopefully they'll show up. Hopefully they'll do their part. But I'm proud that the president decided to save American lives by destroying Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon that Obama and Biden was allowing them to do, and destroy their ability to send a ballistic missile hit America or our troops.
Senator, I thought we did that last year.
We literally last June we were told that that's what we did. That's what we were doing. That's why we should support it. It wasn't a war. It wasn't a conflict. We dropped bombs on these. They went 90 meters deep and destroyed their capabilities, and now here we are.
Bunker busters is what they
literally
bunker busters.
Literally 9 months ago, this is what happened,
and
you're already spitting the same stuff.
And so Rick Scott said something that was very critical that most people didn't catch. Rick Scott was talking about us stopping Iran from potentially doing something. So now the question is, did we go in there as an opportunity to take them out for potentially doing something, or did they actually and factually, incredibly do something? So if we are taking out regimes because of what they potentially could do, why in the hell do we got that crazy man in North Korea still running around?
I was just going to say, we could do that. We can make that case in every one of our, what we call enemies. We can make this case for. This is not a legit, in my opinion, wars of aggression are wrong. We should be responding if something happens or if there is a legitimate threat. But to just say, well, we think this guy could have done something, and you've been saying the same thing for 30 years. And with Saddam, it was like 15 to 20 years. At what point do we say, okay, this is not an imminent threat? This is something we need to pay attention to. But clearly, if it were imminent, something would have happened.
The Castro regime allowed the Soviet Union to put weapons, missiles, to hit Miami, Tampa, Dallas, Houston, New York City, Los Angeles. I could keep going on their shorelines. And we still didn't take out Castro and do a regime change in Cuba because of that.
And that was way more
That shit
imminent.
makes sense. This is what I want to ask my U.S. senator right here in the state of Florida. Of if Iran is potentially dangerous, that so much so that we've got to go act now. We've got to send a military conflict in there right now and do a regime change and destroy the government of Iran. Why the hell didn't we do that in North Korea? Why didn't we do that in Cuba? Why aren't we doing that in China? Why are we only picking on these countries that already have a disorientation of governmental reality?
And our justification can be applied to Israel because there's no country on this planet in more wars right now than Israel. And they have nuclear weapons. And they're not supposed to have nuclear weapons.
Throw their rocks.
Everyone knows they have nuclear weapons. What's that?
Yep. They throw the rocks and hide their hands, and they hide behind the United States.
Yeah, it's completely illegal. It violates every. I don't want to say convention. It violates everything that we're supposed to be, and maybe it is. I don't know what it is, but I know that they're not supposed to have it. And they lie about it repeatedly, and the world knows they have it. But for whatever reason, the country that's in 8 wars now is not being held to the standard to Iran because they say Iran is a threat. And to me, that's just wild.
President Trump has said he thinks China ought to come in and help secure the Strait of Hormuz as well. I'm wondering if you like that idea. I myself would get a little nervous about China militarily having a presence there, but maybe I'm wrong on that. What do you think?
Well, I think China's crazy not to. I mean, China is so dependent on oil from Iran. So if they don't show up, and as this continues, it decimates their economy. Now, I personally believe it's a despicable government in China. The fact that if their economy is decimated and they don't have the money to continue to be a thorn in America's side, I think is good for us. But if they want to come in and take the risk for something for their benefit, that's great. But I think we should be very cautious at putting Americans at risk of making sure oil flows to China and other places. I mean, China has the biggest problem with this, not the USA.
But Senator, what do you say to all your constituents and all the fine people in the state of Florida? Because diesel's north of $5 a gallon now. Regular gasoline prices are heading higher. I think they were $3.71 earlier today.
Pause real quick, I'll speak.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Gas is $3.99 down here in Florida. And that's and the further south you go, the higher the prices are. $3.99.
Where is he at? Which is he south or is he
Rick Scott?
Yeah.
Well, he's the United States. He's
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was our governor previously. But bullshit, gas is $3.99 here. Yeah, Florida got questions, Rick Scott. We got some real questions about the price of gas.
We were at $1.79 and we're now I think we just passed $3 ourselves. That's insanity
must be nice.
Well, I mean, for us, everyone has different things that are going on in their state. So, yeah.
I'm going to go get my
over there.
I'm getting my bike anyway.
We might be a net exporter of petroleum products, but certainly every single American who has to drive somewhere or is even buying anything that's carted or brought on a freight train is feeling it.
Well, nobody wants to see high gas prices. And by the way, if you remember under the Democrats, the inflation we had, the Democrats trying to shut down fossil fuels. So no Democrat can even talk about this because they're complete hypocrites.
No Democrat can talk about this because they're hypocrites, which, okay, they are hypocrites. But to say they can't talk about it and that somehow justifies them not being able to talk about war, to me is insane. Because this is not just about the strait. So if people don't understand what's going on over there, there's a little choke point where majority of the world's crude oil travels through. And Iran, because they're right there, anybody who comes past, they use drones and they're just starting to blow up ships over there. And they are drastically damaging the world's energy transportation or capabilities to transport oil to the rest of the world, essentially. And what's interesting about this is she's saying, well, her and Trump, the lady who's talking, I forget her name. She's funny, but she's so off on this. Her and Trump keep saying, well, we don't need the rest of the world. Then why ask? We can't stop these drones from going and blowing up all these oil tankers. And Iran said themselves, they said, well, we're not blowing up everyone's, just the Zionists. And I'm like, geez, these people don't understand. The reason why our allies don't want to go through this war and don't want to help is because they get their oil from Iran. This is the bottom line. They want to check Iran and convince Iran to not do what they're doing, but their hands are tied. And we're telling them, don't worry about the pricing. Meanwhile, Uncle L just said that they are paying $4.89 per gallon up in Pennsylvania. That's insane. That's insane.
Hey, G Will, my Dodge Ram needs gas. It doesn't need a battery. I mean, it needs a battery. It doesn't need a charge station. It needs gas. Mm-hmm. And it used to get premium, but damn it, I got to get some unleaded right now because premium is like $4.29.
That's wild. That's wild. But yeah, so Iran is blowing up all these tankers. They don't care whose it is, as long as if it's from the U.S. or from UK. That's why they're staying out of this. And we don't need it, so it's not us. But we're sitting there trying to convince these people to go against their own interests.
But listen to Rick Scott, though. He's saying that it's hypocritical for Democrats to even talk about gas prices. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's hypocritical if you campaigned to fight for lower gas prices, mm-hmm. and I know for a fact that's what he campaigned on, was the rising cost of gas prices under the Biden administration, and you're sitting here accepting a presidency without a contingency plan to make sure that gases were lower before he went into a conflict with a major gas producer or oil producer in the world.
There is no contingency plan, though. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We have billions of resources of oil in Alaska as reserves. We have billions of gallons in Wyoming and Idaho as reserves. And this president didn't even think, who I voted for, did not think to release these reserves prior to this conflict.
Well, Biden sold all of it.
He sold his own. I forgot. You know what?
He sold all our reserves to Venezuela, not to Venezuela.
I go on mute.
But build that back up.
About that.
But even with that, if you're going to call them hypocrites, and you just made a phenomenal point that I didn't even think about, what does that have to do with bombing people? That only addresses the oil, but it also doesn't address the pricing, because even if we did have a plan to keep our oil prices down, the rest of the world is still paying more, so our costs are still going to go up because you still have to transport this stuff. So even if we're fully independent here, oil independent, energy independent, the rest of the world's pricing is going to go up. So would we still be doing this and expecting them to help us drive their prices down while we sit over here with our feet up on the table? None of this, I don't understand any of this. It makes no sense to me. This should have been the first thing they thought about before they started bombing. Okay, what are we going to do about the Strait? How are we going to protect it? Turns out you can't protect it. I went over something. I even made a short out of it because it's so absurd. The drones that they're using are between $20,000 and $50,000. In order to shoot it down, we have to spend almost $5 million, between $4.5 to $5 million, just to blow these drones down. It costs us so much money just to do this. Did anyone think about this?
Doesn't it cost over like $3 or $4 million just for a jet to go on a mission or something, between the fuel cost and everything else?
I don't know the exact price, but it's
over $1 million for every jet that goes in the air. It's like $1 million, and those jets cost $30 million. So when one of those jets crash, it's kind of like, oh, we just lost $30 million. I'm like, shit. I mean, I could.
No, well, what's crazy is in Kuwait we lost 3 planes. Those planes, I put it up. I don't remember exactly which ones. I want to say F-18s. They're worth $97 million each. We lost 3 of them to friendly fire in Kuwait. So just think about that alone.
And and we don't want to do nothing. And we don't want to do nothing about student loans here in the U.S.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point. It's like that's $250 to $300 million gone in an instant.
But don't you miss your loan? Don't you miss your loan payment for 3 months with that student loan, or you gonna get garnished or all this other stuff? By the way, that doesn't apply to me. I got PSFL loan forgiveness because I work in education. That sucks for y'all. Doesn't suck for me.
But even if you think about that, they're more hawkish on the guy who has the student loans than they are about the guy who somehow made a mistake in Kuwait and shot down 3 of it was one pilot who did it in a plane. He followed 3 planes of ours and shot them all down. Like, where's the? I need to know what happened to this person and how this could happen.
I bet you he didn't. I bet you he didn't get a lien on his property. I bet you he didn't get a lien on his. I bet you they ain't taking no money out of his paycheck. So like they would. Don't miss those student loans. I'm telling you.
And people say, that I'm only thinking about money because I was actually on a panel with Carcino the other day, and he was saying, "Oh, I see you're about the money." I'm like, it's not that it's just money. It's my money, and it's being spent somewhere else. I don't like that. I can't wrap my mind around why it doesn't bother people when you hear something like that. 3 planes at $97 million each were shot down by one of our people in Kuwait on accident. Like, that's insane. $300 million accident. Like,
and the only thing that dude could say was my bad.
Because what else can you say? I thought it was the enemy. Okay, you like really? After the first one, you didn't find out that maybe that wasn't like the good thing is nobody died in that specific interaction or whatever you want to call it. But when you have this kind of money just being thrown away, it really bothers me. I think about back home, and I was talking to Carcino. I think about the south side of Chicago. I think about, between 59th and 69th and from Damon all the way over to past Western. Like this is what I think about. This is the areas I was playing basketball with. I lived over in like the Gage Park area. All that area, I grew up there, and it looks the same. But we can just blow money overseas and justify it as if it's okay for my prices to go up.
That was $391 million, and I did that in my head. I didn't have to use a calculator. $391 million. Do you know what that would do? And I hate going back to the student debt thing, but that would
this is important.
If you instead of going and taking little Betty's house because she didn't pay her student loans back in 2010. And you paid them off, and you paid off Tyrone's student loans, even though he works at a car wash, even though he was promised to get a job working in pharmacy, but his college lied to him about the degree program. And then we had these online colleges. If you paid off those student loans, you could pay off, what is it? I think an eighth of all of the student loan debt.
Change their lives. Like, it literally is life changing. If you're not able to pay them back, there's a reason you're not able to pay them back. You can literally change somebody's life by doing that. And
you give me $391 million, and I don't know none of y'all on this internet.
But this is why it bothers me, because I was one of them. I'm sitting there trying to make the case, well, yeah, the money, but yeah, it's taxpayer dollars, but we have to do this. I used to say this. And now I'm thinking about all the people who could genuinely have their lives changed for the better by getting rid of that kind of debt. And I can't wrap my mind around it anymore.
Think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s point, even in his messaging, even though he's a socialist and all these other things, that he was criticizing the Vietnam War and how it took away from helping the social programs. We are a nation that you can literally go to Las Vegas and find somebody strung out in a bum laying stretched out, legs open on the street asleep. We have a place called what's the place in California? The one
Skid Row.
Skid Row. We have all of this going on. We haven't even solved the crisis for our teenage children who are in foster care or in group home systems. We have nothing set up for these type of issues that happen. But we can just burn $391 million and a shooter, probably from another country, can just say who's an ally to us, to say, "Oh, my bad."
It's insane, man.
That's not America first. And like I said, and this is not a damning Donald Trump or his administration way. This is you and I are the type of people, are the constituent base that he needs to listen to.
Yep.
Because we're the constituent base that are not going to put our noses up his ass and agree with everything he says, like some of these folks walk around and do. And we're not that constituent base that no matter if he finds the cure for cancer, we're gonna blame him for causing some type of other ailment and say resist or whatever. We are the.
I had somebody the other day who was MAGA, and it was said in a joking way, but it's very clear that that's how he believes. He said, "In Trump we trust," and I'm like, no, dude, you don't trust any man. Every man is flawed, but you're not just trusting him. You're putting lives in his hands. And when he makes a mistake, you have to say something. Mel, you were there on election night. You were in my live when I said, if he doesn't do what he says he's going to do, I will be up here saying something about it. And that guy, what was his name? Liberal Mike, I think his name was. He was like, no, you'd never say anything. I'm like, dude, you don't know me then. I'm going to be consistent. I have to be.
Yeah. And people say, then they'll say, in Trump we trust. Now I am going to take a little bit of a shot at our president. It's amazing that people will say that, and this is the same man that was rubbing elbows with Oprah Winfrey, same man that was at the parties with Hillary and Bill Clinton, same man who was an advocate for abortion and other things before he was against it, kind of like Obama about same-sex marriage. He was against it before he was for it. So I trust God. Trust God. And I'm not going to be, and I was never one of those people, God spared Donald Trump. And God say, well, what about this baby over here? What about this baby over here that got hit by a car? Bro, I just came from a funeral 2 weeks ago of a teenager who took their own life because they didn't find value in life worth living. I don't want to hear people tell me because and I believe God could have spared Donald Trump as the human, but not because of his position.
Yeah.
And so it cringes me, the Trump derangement syndrome, whether it be against him or for him.
Yeah. And the thing about like while I was supporting him, and I still support him, I really don't like what he's doing. But I would always say, I don't really care what he says. I care about what he does. So when he, would insult somebody, I'd laugh it off because that's what he does. That's why I didn't have as big of a problem with what he said about Kent. But now his actions are not matching what he said he was going to do. Now I have a problem because the promise is a promise. That's not you just saying something. This man would literally, in the middle of rallies, would literally put up a chart of the gas prices when he was in office and the gas prices that were current when Biden was in office. And now he's saying, yeah, well, we can, the prices are up, but that's okay. No, dude, you ran on this, like we were saying earlier. You ran on this. I didn't make you run on this.
Accountability is a bitch sometimes. And hey, there it is. But I'll let you go ahead and continue on a video. Did you get that other one I sent you?
Yes. Okay. I wouldn't send over. I don't know why I couldn't send it over. If you could put it in the back chat, that would be easier because they went to my phone and I can't send it over for some reason. Normally it synced and I could just move it over. The other thing I was going to say about the I just lost it. It's gone that fast. Never mind. Let's play the video.
Trump is doing everything he can to make us energy independent. But I want to remember the main thing here is I do not want, and I don't want any American killed by a nuclear weapon from Iran or a ballistic missile. That's what we're dealing with right now. That is way more important than oil and gas prices. I want them down. I grew up in public housing.
That is more
I know
important
how
than
it's
oil and gas
devastating families around the world and around our country. But we've got to remember the main thing is we've got to stop their ability to kill us. And we'll get oil prices back down again like Trump has done. He did in his first term, and he was doing it in this term. But we've got to make sure Americans are safe. Let's remember the important thing here is the safety of Americans.
So, this is a guy, and I had this conversation with somebody. I had to put this in there because there's a reason why. The thing about terrorists is they're honest. Obviously, I'm not defending terrorists, but they're probably the only people on earth who will commit a crime and then tell you they did it. Not only will they tell you, they want the credit for it, right? So if there's something that happens in this country and nobody claims it as far as terrorists goes, they didn't do it. They want full credit. They're proud of it. They do it so that they get credit in the afterlife. That's how committed they are. So when this guy tells me why they hate America, I believe him. He has no reason to lie. And he's going to say something. And I thought it was fascinating enough to play. And then I'll play the thing that you just said. Actually, I could play that first. Let me see. Let's play this first. Because it's still, this kind of shifts it a little bit. So let me pull this down. Copy this. Actually, I could play this. Got community noted. That's fun. Whatever happened, that's funny. All right, so let me pull it up here. Share screen. There we go.
You know, in America, women are allowed to dress, go to school, work, and marry whoever they like.
Were you able to hear that first part?
You know, in America, women are allowed to dress, go to school, work, and marry whoever they like. Iran used to be like this too before they were taken over by radical Islamists in 1979. This is them post 1979. Sadly, under the sick leadership of these terrorists, women are treated like dogs. Do you hear that? Women are treated like dogs. They are forced to cover every part of their body, of their skin except their eyes. They aren't allowed to leave home unless they're with a male escort. They aren't allowed to get an education or work a job, and they are forced sometimes to marry young as 6 years old. Pedophilia and inbreeding are rampant, and women are lucky if they are allowed to drive.
So, U.S.
Congresswoman
Yes,
from
sir.
one of these third world.
So
Yes.
so this is the one I'm showing you right now. That was a different point. The other one I just added in is the one about where I said as far as the irony about the kid. I wanted to talk about this one real quick, just in the sense of I know what our conservative values and our conservative beliefs are.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know as a conservative, we also believe in people having the right to express their own views and their own beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's concerning to me about this video clip that Tommy Tuberville is showing is if you look at Iran, the pre-Iran, how Eurocentric it looks, that's his vision of what Iran should be.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Middle East should look like what he sees,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to what Iranians or Iran should be or whatever. So that's the reason why I just showed this one. But the other clip is the one where it's kind of like you listen to a war hawk who just doesn't have any empathy for being lost in this Iranian-American conflict.
Well, what I find fascinating about this, and I don't know if you know this, Iran has a higher literacy rate than America does. So it's really interesting listening to him talk like this, like they're in the Stone Ages or something, and they're more educated than we are.
I mean, Iranians aren't running around with no shower caps in their head and getting on fights and cruises. I'm just saying. I go on mute.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Let me find this one. That's really interesting that he's talking as if they're.
Bro, didn't Alabama, Montgomery, ain't that the same place where the black folks was hitting the white people upside the head with the chairs on the boat, on the riverboat, or on the boat?
Oh, on the dock, yeah,
on the dock.
yeah.
The
They're in
fuck
like a
out of here,
marina or
Tommy
something.
Tuberville.
It is weird here. They use the fact that people don't really travel from here very much, and say stuff like that, and then you look and they have like a 90% literacy rate, and their education is like so much better than ours, and he's talking like they're just, I don't know, like they're just walking around with no shoes on in the sand. It's really, really, really interesting. I don't like it, but I like watching people not spin things, but I like watching people. Sounds bad to say, watching people lie, and even trying to watch people manipulate. I just like watching how they do it because I've always been fascinated by psychology, and that's one of the only reasons I've always watched and loved wrestling is because they're able to control people, and it's just really interesting to watch for me. But let's play this one.
Well, I just sent you a clip of how moral the people in Alabama are. So, and that's the model and example that the Iranian people should aspire to be like, because that is America today.
He's got to make the right decision here, along with Pete Hegseth and General Kane. It's going to be a very, very tough decision, but to me, we really have no choice. We've got to find a way to take out that corrupt leadership that they have, protect their people as well as people all over the world.
Senator, we got to leave it there real quick to understand it's your granddaughter's first birthday, correct?
Rosie Grace, 1 year old today, and we're proud of her. I remember I had to go last year to the hospital back in Auburn with the birth of her, so we're very proud of her. And
what a jackass!
Already had one.
So his granddaughter is more important than the people we got to go blow up. What it really does bother me. What really bothers me about stuff like this is if you say anything, people say, "Oh, you're just you're sympathizing with the enemy," and it's like, "Oh, dude, I can point out something that's so obvious. I really can. Do you really think that this is okay?" He's talking. To save Iranians, we're talking about killing Iranians. That's amazing to me, because I'm looking like we're not just taking out their leadership. We're dropping bombs. We're blowing up hotels, and it's not just us. Israel is targeting hotels. 5-star hotel was blown up in like the first day, and I'm like, they said, "Oh yeah, well there was somebody in there that we wanted to kill."
Those are casualties. It's crazy. Those are casualties of war, but little Anna Grace. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a little Anna Grace that's going to be unalived on one of those airstrikes, and we're going to call that a casualty of war. Like
it's wild.
Oh, this is why I wanted you to share that, because I need people to understand how out of touch with reality a lot of our elected officials are. Tommy Tuberville he's not an anomaly. And if I was in Alabama, I'd probably vote for him over the next guy. But at the same time, these are these people who are making decisions where it's almost as if if you watch the movie The Pianist. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or not, The Pianist.
Yes.
It's a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
Made Roman Polanski burn in hell, even though he's still alive and he directed the movie. But in The Pianist, the Germans were talking so unconcerning about the Jewish condition as opposed to their own. And I'm not saying that he's a Nazi. I'm not comparing him to that, and I'm definitely not doing it. I said I'd vote for him if I was in Alabama, probably. But I am saying when we make the decision to back military conflicts like what's happening in Iran, and we can sit there with a straight face talking about, "Oh yeah, my granddaughter celebrated her 6-year-old birthday." Somebody's burying their 6-year-old child in Iran because of the decision and the vote that you are making.
And it's not even like, I don't know. It's disturbing because I hate to sound like I'm defending these people, But when they chant death to America, there's a reason. There's a reason why I'm pulling up this bin Laden thing. I want people to see this. I don't sympathize with the guy at all. I don't agree with him at all. But I like hearing people's motivation. It's really important.
Declared a jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
The US government has committed acts that are extremely unjust, hideous, and criminal through its support of the Israeli occupation of Palestine. And we believe the US is directly responsible for those killed in Palestine, Lebanon, and Iraq. Due to its subordination to the Jews, the arrogance of the United States regime has reached the point that they occupied Arabia, the holiest place of the Muslims, who are more than 1 billion people in the world today.
This is not MLK you guys are hearing. This is the architect of global terrorism today as we know it. He's saying the same thing. But his motivation is you guys picked a side. This is what I was talking about earlier. You guys picked a side, so you are our mortal enemy. And if we don't stay out of this stuff, this is what you get. So when I hear somebody chanting death to America, do I like it? Of course not. Am I going to excuse it? Of course not. But I need to know why they're saying it. And a lot of people will, in this same conversation that I'm having right now, if they were saying it, they would say, I don't care why they can't say that. I'm a little bit more nuanced. I want to know why, because I want to know how to prevent stuff like this. You have the guy. This is Osama bin Laden saying, if you guys just didn't pick a side, we'd have no issue with you. But you picked the side, so now you're responsible. And why are you responsible? Because you're funding it. Which to me says this is avoidable. I'm not saying allow Israel to be destroyed by all of its neighbors. What I'm saying is do not dismiss when people blame us. Because when you do that, you are blindly accepting what you're being told. And I'm not taking a side. I'm saying if somebody punches you in the face, ask why, after you dealt with it, of course. At least try to figure out why you were in a fight. Because the first thing most people say if somebody steps on them is, hey, what's going on? What's the problem? There's a reason you do that. Because you want to make sure you didn't do something wrong.
But don't forget the other point. The guy in that picture, or the guy on that camera screen right now, is a man that we supplied weapons to in the Afghan-Russia war. Is a guy that we helped defeat. We helped him defeat the Russian government in Afghanistan.
Yes, we did. We not only that, we trained him. And he used that training and he trained people. And we trained Afghans. And then we turn around a few years after that and we go into there. And we fight people who have our old weapons, but have much more knowledge of their mountainous terrain. And it took us 20 years and we lost. There's no other way to look at that.
And for the people back there who ain't listening and ain't paying attention, the Afghan-Russia war happened in 1980. By 1993, Osama bin Laden will have orchestrated and organized his first attack on the World Trade Center building. See, a lot of people don't know it got attacked.
Killed 200 and something people.
Then he also orchestrated and organized the attack on one of our naval ships in 2000. I can't remember the name of that.
That's the one that killed 200 and something. Yeah. That's the one that killed like 220 people or something like that.
Yeah. But and then September 11th, 2001, a former ally, a former person we gave power to, attacked us in a span of 21 years, 3 different times. And they gave him the power. So who in the hell are we going to put in charge of Iran? Who in the hell are we going to put in charge of Venezuela? We don't.
And we did that. And we did that. We trained him, and he was a CIA operative and he or asset, and he worked with us. And we trained all these people just because they were fighting with Russia. And Vladimir Putin, he's not a good guy, but he has not taken out Americans. This guy took out thousands of Americans. And at the end, I looked it up, and he was responsible at the end of the day for almost 1 million deaths through his orchestrating all of this while he's sitting there in the mountains hiding, and we could do nothing about it. He was responsible for that. And just to get Russia, we gave this guy that power. How many how many Americans has Vladimir Putin killed?
And think about the parallels of that. Just so we can get rid of Russia in the 1980s, we got to take him out. We got to do this. Doesn't matter the cost. Same thing. Now we had to take this moment. We had to get rid of Iran's leadership. Well, what did they do? It doesn't matter. What they could have potentially done is disastrous. So
and even that justification from Rubio. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said, but then the question is, well, who's going to replace him? Somebody worse? I mean, you look at history. But you got it.
No, I was just going to say, it's as long as we're doing this and we're not asking questions why people are doing it, we're going to be blindly going into wars and just blindly following potential war hawks. Now, there may be well-intended people who are in there also, but I watched, you know who Dave Smith is?
I bet if I saw a picture of him, I'd know him, but not directly off the top of my head.
Okay, well, right now he's a comedian, or he's still a comedian, and he's a Jewish person, but he argues with everyone about the crimes that are committed on his behalf. He's like, this doesn't represent me. This is not what we do, and because he points out what we're talking about right here with Osama bin Laden and helping these people. They keep calling him anti-American, saying he's a traitor and he hates his own people and he's anti-Semite, even though he is Jewish. Because we're not allowed to say, hey, why did this guy just walk up and hit you? You're my brother. I want to know what's going on, but why did he just walk up and punch you? What happened? They don't want us to ask that question. They just want us to they want us to defend everyone and shut up about why we're defending them. And by the way, pay for it. And if you owe us money, we're going to take that too. It's like, it's a lose-lose for the United States citizen if you don't have the information. And that seems to be the position that they want us in constantly. And I could not disagree more. So that's why I wanted to play this. He's going to say a little bit more, but the gist of it is, you guys picked a side, and now it's on you. You grin you in. That's essentially what he's saying. And thousands of Americans later, we finally got him. We say we got him. I don't know if we got him. It took that for us to realize, and we still ignore this. We're still ignoring it, and we're going into Iran. Now, Iran is more secular, but it's still a Muslim state. They're not going to love us after this, no matter what we do. They're not going to love us and say, oh my gosh, thank you, America. They still hate us. You know why? Because those kids that were kids when grandma got slaughtered, that we're dismissing as not a big deal, they got to grow up. And they grow up knowing that grandma got slaughtered, and we called her collateral damage on international TV because everything gets seen.
And then let me add this part too. Those kids also saw Tommy Tuberville nonchalantly talk about their family being casualties of war, but then talking about his granddaughter's 6-year-old birthday like they were nothing, like their family's nothing. They also see that too.
Yeah, and how do they not see that as supremacy? You're saying that your daughter or your granddaughter is more important than mine. And they grow up their entire lives and they're highly educated and they know more than the average American does. And they know the history of it. So their hatred is different. We hate that they say, I hate America. Okay, well, get over that. I had this conversation with a MAGA person. So what? They said, death to America. Did they do anything? Well, we can't wait. Okay, I still got to base it on something. I don't just jump in and just jump out the window and assume something's happening that may not even be happening. Go ahead, sorry.
But how many leftists in the United States of America who are related to some of these MAGA people talk about MAGA people needing to be unalived.
Yeah.
Talking about eradicating MAGA people. All of these different things. College professors talking about the president needing to be assassinated. All of these atrocities and evils about these people who actually say it, and they actually influence people to actually try to act it out. They don't get the justice that we think the Iranian people should get. They might get fired, if that, but or they might get reassigned, if that. But
I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet. How do you say it? Is it Tuberville? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Tommy Tuberville, yeah.
I'm willing to bet that there is footage somewhere of him saying we need to protect Iranian citizens from their government. I'm willing to bet he's talked about this. And again, missing the irony.
Oh, Speaks.
I guarantee it.
You just played it. He talked about how the Iranian women used to know how to.
Oh yeah, the women. No, but I'm talking about when those protests were going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. But that's still the same thing. You say you care, but then you also call that woman's sister or her husband collateral damage when we kill them. What's going on, Miss Phoenix? It's so weird to me to watch, because it's a walking contradiction, but they don't see it. While they're saying it, they should, but they just don't.
For this and other acts of aggression and injustice, we have declared jihad against the U.S.
Is the jihad directed against the U.S. government or United States troops in Arabia? What about U.S. civilians in Arabia or the people of the United States?
We have focused our declaration of jihad on striking at the U.S. soldiers inside Arabia, the country of the two holy places, Mecca and Medina. In our religion, it is not permissible for any non-Muslim to stay in Arabia. Therefore, even though American civilians are not targeted in our plan, they must leave. We do not guarantee their safety.
That's wild. But here's what's really interesting about that. You have somebody saying that our religion says that no one can live on our land but us. Then you have another person saying, I'm owed the land that you're on. How do you jump in there and take a side? Because they're both doing the same thing. They're both using a biblical, or in their minds, they're both using a religious justification. This is a holy war. It's never going to stop. So every time I hear Netanyahu, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
No, every time I hear Netanyahu say, this is about the land that we've already attained, I don't believe it, because history doesn't agree with that.
No, it's not a contractual agreement. That's the problem. This isn't a matter of legal argument, or this isn't a matter of legal responsibility. It really boils down to moral, philosophical, and religious. And we are risking the lives, the finances, the credibility of our nation on a moral, philosophical, and religious group that groups that aren't even the majority of our Christian nation.
Nope. And
we won't invest this, but we won't invest this much in Christian Nigerians being persecuted in Nigeria. We won't invest this much in Christian missionaries in Haiti being subject to the gangs who overrun that country. We don't invest that much, and I'm going to just make it as plain as possible, because these are third world, predominantly black, not minority, but black countries. We don't look at the persecution of Christians in these nations as a fight worth having and a fight worth beholding. In China right now, they have to have underground churches because Christians are getting persecuted there. I've listened to some of the people who have escaped China and who have had death threats lodged against them by the Chinese government because they were preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. But we won't go in there for regime change there. We don't.
All of a sudden,
we're a Christian nation. We're a Christian nation. And all these people who are saying that we should follow the biblical doctrine of the Old Testament and of Canaan, that area out there in the Middle East, as the the Jewish population is the rightful heirs to that area. And we as Christians in leadership positions in this country won't even fight for Christians overseas who are being persecuted right now as we speak.
Nope. And while saying it's a moral justification and, you know, we're saving these people, they'll ignore that because there it won't help us. All of a sudden it becomes again about us and our interests in America first. Hey, we would go over there, but you know, it doesn't, you know, it sucks, but we got to be America first. It's so weird how we pick and choose what is America first and what isn't. And because people in Haiti can't benefit us in some way, that's not considered America first, but we're still trying to use the moral agreement. I believe the moral thing is just to tug at half the country's hearts, and then the America first justification is for the people who don't buy that. So they play both games at the same time. That's why it seems like, well, it doesn't seem like there's a contradiction. There's a nonstop contradiction because it's a psyop game. It's what this is their method of convincing people. Okay, they don't believe this, so we'll say this also. And we're just sitting there like, huh? Half of us are like, that doesn't make sense. And then even on the moral side, they're doing the same thing. So they're like, that doesn't make sense. So either way, if you fully think any of these strategies through, it does not help America. And if you want to use the moral argument, you got to do what you just said. And we need to go to Nigeria. We need to help people in Haiti. We need to do more of that kind of work, that missionary type of work, than regime changing. And this is what we're left with. We're left looking like complete hypocrites, liars, and then everybody hates us at the end of the day.
And and to add to that, as you so expertly put it, if it's our moral obligation to support this nation, because according to a guy like who's your U.S. senator down there in Texas, Ted Cruz, yeah.
Oh,
so if it's our moral obligation in the way God intended, his words, not mine, for us to go and support the Israeli government against Iran, if this is what God intended for us to do, then why don't we have that same energy for the Christian teachers who get persecuted in liberal colleges? Why don't we have the same energy for the Christians who are homeless on the streets of Dallas, in the streets of, why are they not a priority for this Christian U.S. senator?
Even Canada, they were having all the churches that were being burnt down up there.
Yeah.
If it's going to be moral, it needs to be moral. You can't just shift to America first when it's convenient, and you can't justify slaughter.
Yeah, we should have been trying to put Don Lemon under a jail for him going and invading a Christian service. But instead, we think just publicly shaming him was good enough. If we are a Christian nation, and it's our duty to morally go over to the Middle East and morally go over there and defend Israel's dignity, even though sometimes that Israeli government brings it on themselves, then why don't we have that energy in California when California penalizes the bakery because the bakery doesn't support same-sex marriage?
You didn't see him go down there and make the case before the Supreme Court. That was his job. That was his job. But it's, I don't know. I don't like it. But this is what we're doing, people, and I need you guys to watch this because I played something similar to this. But to me, it's just fascinating that right now we have this urgency.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months. they have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so
2015.
dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time
96.
is running out.
Iran will be
95.
capable
95.
of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
So this one's scary. I don't know if this is true. This one here. I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen this one? It says Israel plans against America. So conspiracy theory, whatever. But it's going to play into a bigger point that I wanted to make. So I'm going to play it anyway.
I'm coming to you.
And this is the mayor of Cape Town. I believe it's Cape Town, somewhere in South Africa.
Very important information. I want you to listen to me very carefully. Since Israel has been defeated miserably in Middle East, the war against Iran, now Israel is willing to use the second plan in America. Israel wants to use its, listen carefully, want to use its drones to attack American shopping malls, American schools, American businesses.
All right, so I don't necessarily believe that. And he goes on a little bit longer than I care about, but I want to play this because this is wild. And then we can talk because this is so interesting to me.
Blame Iranian people. I'm giving you information in advance. I thank you.
We begin with the warning for California enforcement agencies over a possible Iranian plan to attack the West Coast. CBS News obtained a copy of the bulletin, which the FBI sent to law enforcement agencies last week. We should say right away, the agency is clear that this is unverified information. But the main point is that Iran allegedly aspires to launch a drone strike from a vessel off the U.S. coast. The alert talks about unspecified targets in California. Our Katie Nielsen joins us live from Oakland now, near Coast Guard Island, with what we've been able to learn about this warning. Katie.
Yeah, Juliet, the Coast Guard is the first line of defense when it comes to patrolling the waters off of California's coast. And according to sources, that memo was sent out to law enforcement agencies more as a heads up from the FBI not because they knew about a specific plan. Military experts say Iran has had drone capabilities for many years, as far back as the 1980s. But drone warfare expert and Cornell professor James Patton Rogers says the likelihood of Iran using those drones for an attack on the U.S. is remote.
While this threat is not deemed to be imminent, it is something to take seriously.
Rogers says the drone Iran has used most recently is the Shahed 136. It's a one-way attack drone that can travel more than 1,000 miles and is capable of carrying a warhead. It's the same type of drone Iran used to carry out attacks in Dubai.
What we're talking about here is precision systems that have small conventional warheads on board that can target high-rise buildings or key critical infrastructure. So we're talking about smaller blasts usually.
But he stresses the U.S. and California in particular have advanced technology designed to identify and intercept any kind of aerial threat before it can make it anywhere close to land. First with naval jets scrambling to intercept, then surface-to-air missiles that could also eliminate a drone.
The U.S. Navy has some of the most advanced systems in the world, including high-intensity laser systems that they can use to fry the drones out of the sky.
But all of the experts CBS News spoke with today have said they don't believe this is an imminent threat.
Since 9/11, the agencies, law enforcement, intelligence agencies, they are compelled to over-communicate because they don't want to see lack of information cause another disaster like we had 9/11.
All right, so the reason why I played those two is I find it very strange that they keep saying how it's not credible, but they're putting it on the news. And you have the mayor of Cape Town saying Israel is going to do this. And you have Americans saying, no, Iran wants to do this. When one has the capability and the other really doesn't. And if they did, it seems like they're preparing us. So if something happens, we blame Iran, and then that's how they would gain favorability if this war goes on longer than it's supposed to.
See,
See, the problem with that we run into is the propaganda narrative and how it
Yes.
tries to push and drive America in independence. However, there are a large number of American skeptics who
Mhm.
are critics, not or critiques, who are willing to ask questions about Israel, who are willing
Mhm.
to say, wait a second, but why are we doing this? And
Mhm.
it seems like more and more people are now stepping up to question the United States relationship with Israel when it comes to these reckless type behaviors. So we're not just taking their word for it anymore. We're not just taking the word of the government for it anymore. And those numbers of people are shrinking who just accepts, oh wow, Israel could do this. Israel might
Mhm.
do this. I'm sorry, Iran could do this. Iran might do it. Iran could
Mhm.
possibly do this. That works for Rick Scott, but it doesn't work for Mel Dub. It doesn't work for O Speaks. It doesn't work
Mhm.
for average Americans who aren't emotionally invested in their politicians.
Well, what really raised my antenna on that one was if it's such a low likelihood and the capabilities are just not there, why would you put that on the news? The only reason you would do that is if you want people to know, and then again, as a more of a let's get out ahead of this if this happens. And I would not be quick to say, "Oh, Iran attacked us," because I'm more inclined to believe that this would be a really good. What do they call those operations? What do they call those operations that start a problem? I can't remember what it's called. I don't know why I can't remember what it's called. It happens all the time. But it's one of those things that I believe that they would use to justify the war that's very unpopular and try to get people on their side.
Something like suspected WMDs,
Yes.
something like that.
Mhm.
No, it's not proxy. No, what's a proxy war? What is that?
No,
What
it's
is
called
it?
a not a
I know what you're
patsy.
talking.
It's like
I
a
know what you're
patsy.
talking
It's like a
about.
patsy, but for war. Like a patsy would be, it's a small level op. This would be a I can't think of it. It's gonna drive me crazy too. But it's something that they do to force um, opinions onto people.
I know that not yellow journalism. Is that what you're talking about? Like yellow
No,
journalism or something? Because
no. It's a
I know
military operation.
I know what you're talking about because we did that with the Lusitania in World War One when it was blown up by a German U-boat, and we were like, see, that's why we got to go to war with Germany.
Yeah.
So and
What
then
is it called?
Yeah, and then Pearl Harbor, we used it as well. American were attacked by the Japanese without people understanding that we cut off the oil supplies, we did an embargo, and we did all
Mhm.
the stuff against the Japanese
Mhm.
to restrict them from having any freedom or movement. So I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah. So it's just an operation to force loyalty and convince people that wouldn't otherwise be convinced. And I just found that really interesting that guy would say that. Now people say crazy things, so that alone didn't move me at all. But then when I saw the news report that they are targeting California specifically, I was like, this is interesting, very interesting. Because I played on something similar on one of my, I don't know if it was my last live or the one before that, about Mexico and the cartels allowing Iran to use their locations to launch these drones from, which is insane. But I would be much more okay with going to war with the cartels in Mexico than what we're doing right now in Iran. Because if Iran is doing something to get near us, they would have to go through South America anyway. Whoops. Did I just move you? Just removed you. I'm sorry, man. I apologize. The link is pinned. I accidentally removed you. I was removing a video. My bad. But yeah, so that was pretty much my whole presentation. I do want to show you guys something though. Mel, I'm sorry. You can hit the link. I apologize. I do want to show you guys something, though, that I found really interesting. And it's that video I was telling you guys about. Let's make this big. Because this is what we're up against. Don't let people dismiss this. This is a channel called The Lookout. Let me move forward. Move forward. Okay, I can do that. Here we go. Sorry about that, Mel. I think you're going to find this really interesting also, though. Let's get rid of that. I don't care about that. So he's going to explain what kind of channel this is, but I just found this really fascinating. Let me speed it up. And it's 14 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole 14 minutes. I'm going to look for exactly what I'm looking for on here. But does he have chapters? He doesn't. All right, let's go.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to The Lookout. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is a geography channel. We usually focus on forest fires and forestry and fire management here in the West Coast. But right now, Iran is big time in the news. Thought we'd do a broadcast on the geography of Iran, where it is, what it's all about, how big it is, etc. So we're going to play our sponsors here, and then we'll go straight into the map.
So I want to show. This is so fascinating. I don't even think we need to go here. He's going to do this later. This is what I wanted to get into. Watch this.
Fine. So why did I bring this up? We're basically in a war with Iran right now where we are bombing them and shooting missiles at them. But there's really no talk of a ground invasion or even what the country looks like. You know, I think that a lot of times we see a map of Iran and it's this big brown expanse and we think it's just all desert or something. But it's a pretty diverse country geographically. It's got two large mountain ranges, the Zagros Mountains that run here kind of northwest to southeast, and it's got the Alborz Mountains in the north that are between the Caspian Sea and the bulk of the country. The middle of the country is a giant plateau that's about 3,000 feet elevation. These Alborz Mountains on the north have a lot of peaks that are over 10,000 feet. The largest one is pretty close to Tehran, and it's 18,000 feet tall. So the city of Tehran, where we're really focusing a lot of our bombing and everything, is basically inside of a giant natural fortress. It's protected from the north from a land invasion by these 10,000-foot mountains. It's protected from the west by the Zagros Mountains. And this is one of the reasons that Iran and the Persian kingdom survived so long. You know, Tehran has been a city for 6,000 years, in part because it's really hard to get there from anywhere else. And the very few travel routes in and out of this country are defined by geography and places, they're pinch points, basically. So you can't just march 100,000 troops into Iran without them being focused by geography and pretty obvious, right? It's not like you're going to sneak into there. Tehran's a huge city. It's the size of New York City in population. It's almost 10 million people. The city of Mashhad here in the northeast corner is the size of Los Angeles. Isfahan here in the center is the size of Houston.
You hear that? So this is not a joke. This is not a joke. The population is 92 million in this country. That's a third of how many people are here. A little bit less than a third of the amount of people in this whole country are all here on this terrain it's not easily accessible, with cities the size of Los Angeles and New York.
Houston. The country's got a population of 92 million people, and it's got a 90% literacy rate, highly educated population, especially among the youth. 98% of the youth under 24 years old are literate.
What we were just talking about before I accidentally dropped Mel is these aren't dummies. These are smart people, and this is the youth that's coming up, and they're not just smart. They are educated, and they have memories of their people being unalived by us and by Jerusalem or by Israel. And they grow up smart and hateful, which is a really dangerous combination. But we're not dealing with the people that guy was describing earlier, who's the senator out of Florida. We're not dealing with that. This is completely different.
Have been through school. Very urban population. Only 23% of the people live in the country away from cities. Median age is fairly young, 33 to 34 years old. The country, as you can see in photos like this, is extremely rugged.
So in order to access these cities, you have to go through this. And you have to fly in undetected to do this. And then you have to travel Where do you see how big this place is? I don't think anybody, not anybody, I don't think people realize what we're dealing with here.
So looking at the Middle East here, we've got Saudi Arabia, we've got Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. And when we look at the map like this, I think we often think that it's just one big giant sand dune or something. You don't really see that there's a lot of, about 11% of the country is cultivated. And so you've got this river valley here in the southwest corner of the country, extensive agriculture, and highly developed water systems. You know, we've got big reservoirs in the mountains here. It's a dry country, but they store a lot of water and then they irrigate. There's been civilization here for thousands of years, and this land is highly developed. There are only a couple of rivers in the country that don't drain to the interior, but you can see here that the agricultural land in the southwest corner of the country is really highly developed. So the satellite imagery shows where right now there's some snow. You know, there's a lot of high country here. So there's blue areas, show snow in the high peaks of the mountains. You can see that the interior is this vast plateau that's about 3,000 foot elevation. There's not a lot growing there, but then you see all along the kind of western and southern margins of the country, there's green right now, kind of springtime growth.
I think what happens is people think that we're just going into a desert. We can land our planes. We can just drop thousands of soldiers down, and then we can go and we can take over this and we can take it. It's not that. It's not.
Talk about the Strait of Hormuz.
This is what they were talking about earlier.
You've been hearing about how the gas prices right now are spiking because there's no way to get oil through the Straits of Hormuz. And the reason that that's a big deal is if we look at where the Strait of Hormuz is, we've got the Persian Gulf here, which accounts for 20% of the world's oil production. So this map here shows where the major oil deposits are in the Persian Gulf, in Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait, and then down here into Qatar, Bahrain, Oman. These are the Gulf states down here, UAE. And when we look here at the Strait of Hormuz, it's only about 30 miles across, about 40 miles across here. And right now, no boats want to go through there. And why is that? Well, we've got like this entire Iranian shoreline to the north with kind of unlimited missile launchers and drone bases and anything you could think of. There's this enormous amount of geography here along the Persian Gulf that is Iran, where you could move missiles and drones. And Iran has proven that it has the ability to strike long distances. Iran is striking the Gulf states. Obviously, if Iran can strike down here in the Gulf states, it can strike with will into the Strait of Hormuz.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump said that we're going to send ships to escort oil ships through the Strait of Hormuz, but as far as I know, that's not happening. I don't think that the Navy is very excited. Getting in too close to Iran and within strike of their missiles. Here's a map of current carrier strike group locations. The Abraham Lincoln is way out here in the Indian Ocean, and Gerald Ford is in the Mediterranean Sea. But Iran's right in the middle here. And so it doesn't seem like the Navy's in a big hurry to come in here to the Straits of Hormuz. Here's an interesting map that I just found today, which shows oil deposits, major deposits highlighted in yellow and orange, and then religion. And so you've got the dark green is Shiite Muslim, the light green is Sunni, and Saudi Arabia here is ruled by Sunni people. And so there's this article that I read says that with all this concentration of oil wealth in lands that are majority Shiite Muslim, that a long-term fear of Saudi Arabia is that at some point Iran will take over this side of the Gulf and they'll be out of luck. Iran is a very diverse country.
Look at this.
Geographically. And so here on the Caspian Sea, on the north side of the country, we've got a coastal plain here that rises up into the Elborz Mountains. There's a lot of agriculture here. This is more like kind of rainforesty. Some of these places here get like 3 feet of rain a year. But as you can see here, just we've got these really massive, rugged mountains between the Caspian Sea and the interior. And over here is Tehran.
And this is what I was saying earlier about access. It sounds good, but in reality, this is inaccessible. This is worse than Afghanistan because they're completely surrounded. So Afghanistan is it's like very, very mountainous. Iran is surrounded by mountains. You have to get through this first, undetected. You can get there, but you have to go undetected in order to not be, I don't want to say addressed, to not be shot down. And they will know you're coming. You're not just going to sneak. You can't sneak through this. This is completely different than anything we've ever dealt with.
So Tehran is farther north than I had imagined in Iran. You know,
Look at how far that is through the
mountains. It should be more
mountains.
in the central of the country. But yeah, so it's New York City-sized country here, Tehran, and the foothills here. Like people are living basically up into the hills here, and the highest areas in the foothills are like almost 6,000 feet in elevation.
Has anyone been to New York City? You know how big New York is? That's the size of Tehran, and we're acting as if we just go in and we can just bomb this, bomb that. You'd have to level it. This is massive, and I just, when I was watching, I was fascinated. Like, there's no way we can just go there and do what our officials are telling us to do. And of course, this is what I do. When I hear something, I look it up if I'm interested in it, and I want to learn about it. And when I hear them saying, "Oh, this would be so easy," and it's a few days, and I'm thinking, how? How can you find all the stuff that they say, that you guys say that they have in a city the size of New York? How? You don't have anyone on the ground there looking. A city the size of New York City. That's what we're dealing with here, and we're trying to find where their nuclear capabilities are. In a city the size of New York City, people, think about what he's saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I would say, and I'm looking at, yeah, sorry, my computer restarted on me.
Oh, I thought I accidentally booted you.
Not this time. But I was just looking at some video of Tehran, and I'm looking at it, and it's what our government doesn't want you to see. It actually looks like a pretty civilized city. It looks like it's a normal city. You have a population of people who walk around freely and live normally. So what happens if we do an airstrike on the city, and all these people who are just walking innocently get injured or get unalived, or so to listen to our politicians declare that basically it's a bunch of people walking around without shoes and and scavenger hunters is just not factual.
We're looking at it right here. This is an actual the whole country is developed, except, we're not talking about rural, but when you're looking at this, and this is a city the size of New York City, and then when you see them dropping bombs, you're like, oh, there's high rises. These are like regular buildings. They make it sound like it's just desert land, and we can go there whenever we can do whatever we want. You cannot, not undetected. And when you get there, what are you looking for in a city? If you've been to New York City, if you've even been to Chicago, you're not going to just find what you think you're going to find there. How do you know where it is when all of your intelligence is through drones and satellite imagery? How do you know what you're shooting at? How do you find individual people? This place is massive.
And what happens when that 6-year-old gets killed by concrete that hits him in the head, and that child dies?
While you drop down, I don't know if you heard while you drop down, but the literacy rate is 90%, and the average age there is 35. So you have a younger, smarter overall nation than what we are in.
Our nation is 36% literacy for third grade and beyond. We do social promotion where we don't have any real standards for our kids. The curriculum for our youth is outdated. We keep running into the same failed systems and we limit our kids' ability to be innovative and be educated because we have this redundant anti-masculine system that we call education currently. I can speak as an expert on that. So I'm not surprised that we have a 36% literacy rate nationally, and probably lower than that among our young Black male youth who they want to over-medicate and put in a corner and make them become behavior problems from K through 12. I see it firsthand. I'll go on mute.
And even worse, you have a massive group of people who are highly educated, multilingual, and then when they get here, we act confused how did this person spy on us? Well, they're smarter than us.
Let me correct Kiss My Cheeks, who I love and support and I salute. That's not true. They don't cut the funding of education. There is plenty of funding in education.
Oh no, yeah.
The problem is
so much money.
It's going to the wrong priorities. It's not going into improved reading strategies and data-driven results of what helps kids learn. It's going into programs that have no bearing on academic, but more so on social. I promise you, there is money in education. It's just not going to the right places.
And you may know this. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we spend more per student than anyone else. I could be wrong on that.
Down here in the state of Florida, we spend $11,600 per pupil. That means per pupil, whether they are here legally or not. That means whether they are fluent or not, financially well off or not. We spend if you want to round it up, $12,000 down here in Florida alone on a child's education. And most of the districts down here have federal free lunch. So that means that they get free lunch. And most of those kids throw that lunch in the garbage because it's so bad nutrition wise. So when I say there's money in education, it's just that it gets misused so bad. Like we'll give kids chicken tenders and French fries for lunch. There's
New York is 30,000 per student.
30,000 per student. There's money in education. It's going to the wrong places. And the wrong people are getting promotion. But hey, O Speaks, bro, I gotta drop off of here, man. This
all good, man.
Great.
Appreciate
Shut
it.
up, Griff. You want a dog? But yeah, I'm gonna kiss my cheeks. No, for sure. No. We're all good. But,
no, Mel ain't like that. Yeah, he's just
I'm gonna drop off of here.
Yes, sir.
I gotta finish doing my man shit out here. So once I finish doing all of that, then yeah, man. But hey, salute to you, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
This has been fun. This has been a good conversation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm almost done with this. I just want people to see what we're
all right, bro. Take it easy.
Here. Yes, sir. Later, man.
Right now, we see that these areas north of Tehran actually have a lot of snow right now. And as you get farther north, that's just clouds. And you can see that kind of coastal plain with Caspian Sea. So in the big picture, like we're not going to have a land invasion of Iran from the north. We don't have a lot of friends and allies that are going to let us operate up in here. I got a map here of U.S. air bases, major air bases. All of these air bases in the region down here have been getting hit with drone and missile strikes.
Mm-hmm.
I think just to wrap it up, I just want this graphic of doing the research here today. I think this graphic really is the one that gave me the
just listen to what this man is saying. So when you talk to somebody and they're arrogantly saying, "Oh, they're nothing," listen to what he's about to say about the size of this place.
The biggest heebie-jeebies. We've got Iran here between Iraq and Afghanistan, two countries that we've invaded in the last 25 years and been unable to achieve our initial objectives. You can see it's much bigger than both of them. It's got the topography of Afghanistan, and unlike Iraq, it's much more united internally. It's much more monolithic religiously. It stood up to decades of sanctions from the West. And I think if anything, if we're expecting to bomb Iran and have the people all come out and be happy about it, I think of what happened to us when we got bombed in 2001. The United States united against the people that were bombing us. So I'm not sure why we would think that bombing them is going to make them, and killing their supreme leader is going to make them kind of suddenly run out and thank us and want to be part of our parade. There's a lot to unpack there. We try not to get too political on the lookout, but geography matters, history matters. Geographers like to say that historians are just geographers without maps. The lessons we've learned tell us that we can't win military conflicts with air power alone. I want to wrap up with this map of Iran superimposed on the Western United States.
So he just took that country and look at the amount of land that covers. If anybody who's lived on the West Coast, and I've lived in a couple of these places. I lived in Phoenix. I lived just outside of Phoenix in Queen Creek. I've lived in Orange County, California. I've lived in Los Angeles, California. I've lived in San Diego, California. If you look at this is the size of Iran. It covers the entire West Coast from New Mexico to Portland.
I want to have a little thought exercise here where we imagine that our goal is to come overthrow the Mormons in Salt Lake City, and we're invading from the port of San Francisco. Can you imagine trying to move all your troops and material over the Sierra Nevada mountains through Donner Summit and then all the way across Nevada against an enemy that has spent thousands of years fighting battles on this terrain and spent the last 30 years preparing for a war with the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Next time you're driving across Highway 80, imagine the logistics of trying to fight a war across that geography. All right, so that's our broadcast for today.
And this guy, man, he earned a sub from me because this was fascinating, and he does geography anyway. Let me do that. So I'm always interested when there's a fire. I want to know where it's affecting. But that last little graphic, if we wanted to get to Salt Lake, we would have to go through right here and travel all the way there to get to that. That's it. If that doesn't put this into perspective for you guys, nothing will. But ignore anybody who dismisses this war as just another, we just go do some bombs, blow up their nuclear capabilities. Tehran, however you say it, is the size of New York City. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Yeah, there's 3,000, I think they said 3,500 to 5,000 traveling, but they're not they're sitting outside. Where is it? This is what you were just talking about. This is the Strait. They're just bombing. They're sending drones to bomb the ships that try to go through here. But the boats, he showed it somewhere. He showed where our ships were. They're nowhere near. They're not really accessible because it's far. We're not like right here. We're way down here somewhere and way up here somewhere. But anyway, that's all I wanted to show you guys. Do not allow anyone, you can allow them to, but don't let them sway you into thinking this is not a big deal. It really is. We have not had a war anything like this, not even close. Yeah, so I just want you guys to understand what we're getting ourselves into, understand what our leaders are telling us, and understand that I told you guys, I was never a Trump supporter. Trump was supposed to support me. And the minute he didn't and did something he said he wasn't going to do, I would be here to say something. So here I am. I appreciate you, KMC. You are amazing as always. Thank you so much. Uncle L, of course, you're the man. Miss Phoenix, Miss Just J, all you guys are always amazing. Lou, G Will, thank you, Andre W for coming on up, Mel Dove for coming up. Lester, thank you. I'm still trying to catch you to ask you what I did because he sent the Cash App and I didn't understand it. Bad guy, appreciate you, man. I think everybody, please, if you see something that you don't understand and you don't have time to look it up, write it down and then look it up later, or come to me and ask me, because if I see something that I don't understand, I look it up. So I could be your nerd. I'll look it up for you. I don't care. I'll look it up on the live stream, mid-live, and say, yeah, let's see. That's interesting. But what I don't want is people to just take what we're being told. I don't accept, that's nothing. We can do whatever we want. We can do. No, we can't, because we've already lost. We're pushing 20 soldiers now. We may be past that. And it hasn't even been 3 weeks. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of American citizens for something that's not a big deal. I've even seen somebody say, that's collateral damage. They knew what they were in for. That is a horrible way to look at stuff. Because by that logic, you can go to the hood, and if you get shot, hey, it's on you. You know where you were going. It's like that. So you're justifying it? Nah. I'm not with that. If you guys are interested in art, I have my art channel up and running now. I did a live from it yesterday. So I'm doing art there, and I'm doing art on TikTok. I'm still going from this channel just because a lot of people still haven't subbed up to the other YouTube channel. So I want to give them a chance. I don't want to just go live and nobody knows that I'm going live. I may start doing what other content creators do and just do a post saying I'm live and then redirect them to the channel. But those two is where I do my artwork. I'm back to that. You guys have my You have this channel. Actually, no, I'm gonna put the YouTube channel anyway, just because there are people in here on Rumble. Let me do that. This is my YouTube channel if you're watching on Rumble. And if you're watching on YouTube, you guys, which is majority of you, it's only happened once, but if I ever get a live taken down, it will be available on Rumble because they don't censor like YouTube does. I only have one live that really applies to, but you never know. If you want to watch me troll trolls, I only troll trolls. I don't troll normal people. Follow me on X. You'll be. I think I can impress anyone. I'm a master troll. People just don't know it until they get on my bad side. I guarantee if you troll, I can teach you more about trolling. I really can. Yeah, I'm really good at it, and I enjoy it. But I don't just do it to anybody. Like I said, they have to. It's like bullying the bullies. That's what I do. If you'd like to support the channel, I used to have a problem with doing this, but I no longer have a problem with sharing my Cash App. There's a little barcode in the top. That's also my Cash App. I don't have a problem with it anymore because I learned from people like Uncle L, from people like Beautiful One, from people like Bad Guy. A lot of people show appreciation that way. Lester, I don't even know what I did. And he gave me a really, really, really nice compliment. I need to talk to him about it because I want to find out what I did. But I helped somebody that I didn't know I helped. And it feels really, really, it's beyond humbling, because humbling is getting something that you don't feel like you deserve, and it knocks you down. It knocks you down a notch and say, oh wow, this is really cool. When somebody says you helped somebody that I know, it's like, oh wow. There's more of a purpose to what I'm doing than just me running my mouth. Because that was my original goal, or my original, I don't know, I guess goal is the only word. My original mission, my original purpose was, my wife said I talk too much, and I might as well be talking to people who might listen, because she wasn't listening. I don't want to hear this. This is all you do is talk anyway. So why don't you get on camera and do it? And maybe somebody will listen. And hey, who knows? You might blow up and get 1 million subs. And I told her, and it's in my description to this day, whether it's one person or 1 million people, I'm still going to run my mouth, because whether it's my wife or 100 million people, I'm gonna be the same. I don't change. I can't change. This is what I do. I run my mouth. So it's just not her who has to deal with it. Now she watches if she wants to watch it. She doesn't have to listen to me. And because I do this and I put the videos together, I'm out of her hair. I'm off in a corner putting together videos. It works out for both of us because I'm still gathering all this information that I would be doing anyway. And I don't have to subject her to the abuse. The political abuse. Because what happens is I don't yell at her, but I'm yelling, I can't believe this. Do you believe what Trump is doing? Or I can't, look at Biden, look at it. And she had to hear this. That's abusive. It's negative. Nobody wants to hear that all day, except me. But I'm the one who's saying it, so it's not as bad. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. I really genuinely appreciate you all. And that is it. Thank you.